Good morning. Good morning. It's happened. I cannot believe that. I gotta mute CNN here. I'm watching CNN. I cannot believe that Kamala Harris has made the right decision. Oh my God. Kamala Harris has selected Tim Walz as her running mate. This is the right choice. They actually did the right thing. Insane. So, I'm like, 2 weeks ago, I did a video on why Tim Walz is the perfect choice for the vice president, sharing a series of clips. We'll play some clips since what else are we going to do here? I'll play some clips of Tim Walz being awesome. And it wasn't just about the clips. It was about the fact that he is somebody who's actually accomplished things as governor. I'll get to that list as well. He is somebody who is a veteran, was a high school teacher. Like this guy appeals to everybody. He's very likable. He's actually done things to help people. He's able to make a compelling argument against Republicans. He started the whole weird thing. Now we're all calling them weird. Even Canadian liberals are now calling conservatives weird, and it's working. The man is brilliant on so many levels, and he was actually picked. The right choice was actually picked. Tim Walz is the running mate. So this is being reported by CNN. The official announcement, I guess, with the video and of the call and all that is going to come out at some point. They're apparently still in the process of recording that. I will show you all the activity outside of Tim Walz's house this morning. Is there no chat? Hold up. Okay, all right, I'm gonna turn chat on. I don't know why. I'm like, why is there no chat showing up? It's because the chat wasn't turned on. For some reason, YouTube automatically turns my chat off. All right, if you refresh your feed, hit the refresh button, the chat should be there now. And then you'll be able to talk to me, and I'll be able to respond to you. All right. So let me get to the video outside. This is all set up weird. It's really early. I was not prepared for this. So let me move some things around. There, chat's in there now. Hello, chat. All right, I'm gonna have to mute. Okay, I'm gonna mute CNN. At some point, if there's any break in me speaking, I'll let CNN go just so we have something in the background. But all right, so there's the chat. Look at there. There we go. I was like, something is missing here. Where is everybody? I don't know why YouTube turns off chat automatically, but thank God I can re-enable it without restarting the stream. All right. This is all the activity outside of Tim Walz's residence this morning. Very clearly something was going on here. He's got quite the driveway as well for all these cars to fit there. But there we go. Look at this. Clearly something going on. And it wasn't just a water leak. So he is officially the VP. I will find the tweet. Let me find the tweet. Here it is. Caitlin Collins from CNN reporting out, Vice President Kamala Harris has made a decision for her running mate, with 4 people close to the process saying Governor Tim Walz of Minnesota is her choice. I cannot believe again that the right choice was made. I had convinced myself that it was going to be Shapiro. I'm like, there's no way they're going to make the right choice. They're going to fuck this up somehow. Of course they are. And no, the right choice was made. I did a whole video yesterday in case you're curious about Shapiro. It's not necessarily that all the attacks on him are fair. I'm sure some of them aren't. The problem was there were already so many scandals out about him that it wouldn't make any political sense to choose the guy that already has like 5 scandals swirling around, including one where there was a sexual harassment case in his office. And a lady that was harassed, she quit her job before this guy was forced to leave. So quit her job. 6 months later, reporters got a handle on what went on. And it was only at that point that he was then forced to resign. And even while he was resigning, the governor was saying, great job, dude. Thank you for being with us. Even though he was resigning because of the sexual harassment. So that alone, when you're trying to attack Donald Trump and trying to position him as this sex pest, disgusting jerk, which he is regardless of that happening. And of course, that happening in Shapiro's office isn't anywhere near as bad as what, everything Trump's been involved with. But regardless, it undercuts the argument, and it gives an attack line to the other side. Not to mention, this morning, apparently, J.D. Vance was told Hugh Hewitt, who for some reason is still relevant in conservative circles, told Hugh Hewitt that if Harris doesn't pick Shapiro, that means there's an anti-Semitism problem. Basically saying, please pick Shapiro, because they're afraid of Tim Walz. They do not want to have to go up to Tim Walz. There are so many aspects of Tim Walz and his life that apply to not even just politics generally and him being successful just generally, but to this moment. The fact that he had a child through IVF. When you have, the Republicans and J.D. Vance making or trying to turn that into an issue. I don't even know why that would be an issue. But again, these people are weird, which goes to the perfect line from Tim Walz. And the fact that Tim Walz is a real person. Let me get some clips here. As I do that, I'm going to put up the CNN audio just so we hear some updates. Actually, you might not be able to hear it from here.
On and chosen the running mate of her choice, and it is now going to be the Harris-Walz ticket running against the
so
Trump
probably can't watch that
ticket. So we
can hear a little bit of it.
Remarkable and unprecedented transformation of the Democratic ticket.
All right, let me find
again a matter of days. And I
some Tim Walz clips.
Note that this moment really marks, in some ways, Kamala Harris defying President Biden. As we have talked about so much for years and years, President Biden and the advisors that are closest to him have made the argument repeatedly that the person at the top of the ticket had to be Joe Biden, that only he was capable of defeating Donald Trump, that with anybody else, the country...
Let me just mute that. So I hadn't seen this video, but I saw the picture. This is him signing the law guaranteeing free breakfast and lunch for all students in the state. This is the kind of shit that they're going to have to attack him on. Oh, you're so far left that you fed hungry children. What is? They got nothing on this guy. They got nothing on this guy. He's gonna be like, yeah, as he said in a media appearance, I'm a monster for feeding children. They got nothing to hit him with.
It is now law.
Let me just, that's kind of loud. That was totally organic. So I had seen that picture. I didn't realize the whole thing was organic. That they all just wanted to hug him. He's just like a big old nice grandpa. Amazing. All right, I'll find some other clips as well.
That this is somebody that she would have had good personal chemistry with, that he is widely described as somebody that people just enjoy spending time with. You can imagine that would not have been, that would have been rather a really big part of the consideration, given what a big decision it is, and given that at the end of the day, the president is going to want somebody that they like spending time with, if at all possible.
Very good points there, MJ Lee. Let's go now to John King. As you're thinking through this whole scenario, there was a possibility to have the Pennsylvania governor, which has a lot of electoral votes that everybody was
speaking
worried about.
It into existence.
Now she goes to Philadelphia, and so does Tim Walz, having to go there into Shapiro's nest. What happens here? How do you
What
see
I know
this
is
sort of playing out?
I have no knowledge of this because we've been reporting about Governor Walz, but my bet is that Josh Shapiro's at that event today. Josh Shapiro, he's a good rising star in the Democratic Party.
Huge moment for him in many ways.
What I know is
on
that
the battlefield helping.
All right, so this was the thing that
Harris and Walz, his path to help.
this was what set this campaign for VP on fire.
What I know is that people like J.D. Vance know nothing about small town America. My town had 400 people in it, 24 kids in my graduating class, 12 were cousins, and he gets it all wrong. It's not about hate. It's not about collapsing in. The golden
I will get your super chats as well.
rule there is mind your own damn business. Their policies are what destroyed rural America. They've divided us. They're in our exam rooms. They're telling us what books to read. And I think what Kamala Harris knows is bringing people together around the shared values, strong public schools, strong labor unions that create the middle class, health care that's affordable and accessible. Those are the things. You look what they're talking about. They went right to division. They did not give us a plan on health care. Donald Trump talked about infrastructure. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris built bridges, built roads. So I think this is going back to the bread and butter, getting away from this division. We do not like what has happened where we can't even go to Thanksgiving dinner with our uncle because you end up in some weird fight that is unnecessary. and I think bringing back people together, well, it's true. These guys are just weird. And it's, they're running for He-Man Women Haters Club or something. That's what they go at. That's not what people are interested in. And there is angst because robber barons like J.D. Vance and Donald Trump gutted the Midwest, told us we didn't do that. They talk about private schools. Where in the heck are you going to find a private school in a town of 400? Those are public schools. Those are great teachers that are out there making a difference and gave us an opportunity to succeed. That angst that J.D. Vance talks about in Hillbilly Elegy, none of my hillbilly cousins went to Yale, and none of them went on to be venture capitalists or whatever. It's not who.
That also is going to work so well when J.D. Vance tries this fake shtick. Oh, I know what's going on in Appalachia. I wrote a book about it. Which apparently I haven't read the book, didn't watch the movie, but from what I hear, is really about how people from there don't work hard enough, or the reason why they're not venture capitalists like him is because they're stuck in squalor and didn't work hard enough to get out of it. Whereas Tim Walz has a real argument here. Like, you need to actually care for these people. You need to actually provide them the help that is needed. To act like you are, you got out of it, like to try and position yourself as for J.D. Vance to position himself as the authority on the Midwest, when you have Tim Walz here saying delivering lines like my hillbilly friends didn't go to Yale. That shit lands. That shows the disconnect. That shows you that shows voters who the elites are. Here's this elite J.D. Vance, and here's a guy who actually understands you. And one of the other benefits of picking Tim Walz is that he has wide appeal, including appeal to older voters. Kamala Harris has in all demographics has increased her support compared to Joe Biden, except for seniors. I don't think Shapiro would have helped her with seniors. I think Tim Walz has a better chance at helping Harris with seniors. So you have just everything aligning in terms of just the perfect person to be the VP here. And apparently he's also a really fun guy to be around. Like, he's just a fun person. He's full of energy. Joe Biden, I was hearing from reporting there, Joe Biden apparently really enjoyed being with Tim Walz, like just having him around because he's a fun guy to talk to. So just like having this guy who has this energy, who is this authentic person, was a high school teacher, is a real guy, and to have this person be the main guy that you're going to for for help, advice, or guidance in some way, potentially take over in 8 years. Like, this is just so good on so many levels.
People really are. So I think that message doesn't resonate. You saw it yesterday. The energy out here exploded. We all broke fundraising records, but that's not what I look at. Door knocks are full. Phone banks are full. People are talking about what's possible. We are finally on offense about an America where we're all together. So good. Have Orban down to Florida. The vice president will come out here and stand in a Planned Parenthood. She stands in a Planned Parenthood clinic in St. Paul. That's what people want to see.
Amazing. So let me grab some super chats quick, and then I'll play some more clips. We'll chat some more, be happy some more. It's good to be happy sometimes, isn't it? T King says 1.2K viewers and good news. Wow. J-Man G for $10 super chat, thank you. Says for your celebratory alcohol. Let's go. Oh, it's early, but maybe it's time. Sassy P, oh my God. $99.99. This is an insane super chat that deserves a sound drop. What do I got here? I need some happy sound drops. Thank you so much, Sassy. T King says Matt Binder money rolling in. Thank you, T King, for the Matt Binder money. All right. I'm going to unmute CNN. Let's listen in, and I'll find some more clips.
He is well known as your own governor? Of course not. But can you get into those communities? And I suspect when Tim Walz goes to those communities in Pennsylvania, Josh Shapiro's got to be right there.
All right. I'm going to quickly go to Whitney while she is outside of the governor's residence as we are waiting to see when this phone call is coming. What are you learning out there this morning? We've seen a lot of people going by taking pictures now that they know that he is the presumptive pick here.
Right when that news started breaking, we saw more and more neighbors coming out. This is a big walker-runner community. We've seen many people this morning getting their morning run in, but right now what we see is people stopping, taking pictures, chit-chatting. We saw a family come out with their children. People in this area know this is a major moment on a absolutely perfect, crystal clear blue day here in St. Paul. Right now, we haven't seen the governor yet. We're seeing very little activity outside the house. We've seen a couple aides come in and out, but
so
we're
you know,
certainly
behind
waiting
you, the
for
door
the
is
man of the moment
opening.
to make an appearance. We have no idea.
Just
The
so you know,
door is
behind you,
opening.
the door
There
is
we go.
opening.
We see one vehicle leaving. We see one of these Suburbans leaving. Let's see. We can see who's inside. It's too dark, guys. I'm sorry. I can't see who's inside, but it's just one Suburban.
It's worth going over this again.
We're waiting for some activity. What we know.
In case you don't already know, not only is Tim Walz fantastic at politics, not only is he able to make just brilliant arguments and communicate in a way that very few Democrats can, he's also actually accomplished many things. With a 1-seat majority in Minnesota, universal free school meals, legal cannabis, carbon-free electricity by 2040, tax rebates for the working class up to $1,300, 12 weeks paid family leave, 12 weeks paid sick leave, banned conversion therapy, red flag laws for firearms, universal background checks, automatic voter registration, free public college under 80K, ban on forever chemicals, $2.2 billion increase in K-12 school funding, and sectoral bargaining for nursing home workers. Pro-union, pro-working class, pro-healthcare, pro-gay rights, pro-climate change issues. This man, pro-school meals, pro-education, just the perfect choice. The perfect choice. And the fact that it came down to him or Shapiro, you could not have a bigger divide. Not that look, Shapiro, I'm sure he's done good things. He's not, a terrible person. But it was for private schools. He's a guy that actually received money from a GOP mega donor over the issue of private schools and or charter schools. And he ended up switching positions. And then they stopped attacking him. So he switched positions because he was being attacked and also took GOP mega donor money. Look, I'm not, again, that's one issue. But you also have the issue of he's made he made disgusting comments when he was 20 about Palestinians. Yes, he was 20, but that's not going to help you in this race, especially when the big constituency that Biden was losing was young people and Arab Americans and Michigan. So that was hurting Biden considerably. To have someone like Josh Shapiro on the ticket with you would be a massive mistake. And, recently Shapiro had recently in 2011 complimented Netanyahu for giving just a perfect speech about the Middle East, which I'm sure it wasn't, considering it's neo-Hitler. And I don't know, just a litany of issues with Shapiro. So the fact that it came down to Shapiro or Walz really is just this massive divide. I thought it would have come down to, in a sane world, it would have came down to Bashir and Walz. It's surprising to me that Shapiro made it that far with how many scandals were already around him, and he was already being asked about them, and he wasn't even the VP pick yet. So again, it's not even about those stories or about his positions or anything. It's the fact that already you would put the ticket on the defense. You would pick a VP choice that would already put the campaign into defense mode. Why? What purpose? So the fact that he made it that far, to me, is mind-boggling. Unless that was just a way to signal to people that wanted him within the party, be it donors, whoever it was, that, hey, he's made it this far, but maybe there was never any intention of choosing him. I don't know. But it does seem weird that somebody with so many clear issues against him would make it that far in the race. Let me find some more clips.
Obama and then Senator Joe Biden. Of course, Governor Walz did not run in the primary. He did not even have national ambitions. But when this opening came just about now 16 days ago, this has been an extraordinarily fast whirlwind and whiplash. He became part of the national conversation because he is intent on trying to expand the base of the Democratic Party. Again, we should point out, this is Vice President Harris's ticket. She is at the top of the ticket. That is what the majority of voters vote on. But they believe that he is a contrast to not only the vice president, but also to J.D. Vance.
All right, let's watch a bit of this. This was a couple weeks ago, but it gives you an idea of how great Tim Walz is
also, of course, the chair of the Democratic Governors Association and the co-chair of the DNC Rules Committee. He's a very busy man indeed. Governor Walz, thanks for taking a little time to join me tonight. First, I got to ask about the weirdness, the surreality of being so intimately involved in all of these proceedings, and then also on the list to be a potential vice presidential running mate with Kamala Harris. How does that feel?
Yeah, look, I'm a high school teacher, and yes, very surreal. But what I have to say is I would start out by saying more of your previous guests. Inject it right into my veins. That's the future that we're looking at. And so what I saw was, and what we all saw this afternoon in Milwaukee was an American future that we all want, one that we know that can be there. That sense of optimism, that sense of joy, that sense of hopefulness. Look, we were laughing with each other, not at someone. Just a positive vision. And so just to be a part of this, I'm all in. I'm all in on this positive future. I'm all in that we can heal.
Someone in the chat said, show the announcement. They haven't announced it yet. So it's from what unless they just did it now. CNN has leaked that it is happening. It is happening. But they're right now in the process of recording the announcement, like they did with the Obama endorsement. So they're going to record the call, and I assume announce it with that video. So I will scroll through and refresh the news and Twitter to see if anything pops up.
Some of these riffs, and I think you saw it. You saw soon-to-be President Harris exhibit all those qualities and a grace that America is so hungry for. So I can't tell you, I'm just excited. I'm excited to be here. I've never felt this energy in an awful long time. America's smiling again. America believes in it. We're seeing other Americans as neighbors, not as someone to denigrate. I'll tell you, the smallness of the Trump campaign and the smallness of the Trump-Vance vision is in full display. And your previous guests showed that. Put anybody up against that, and I'll take those odds.
It feels like the...
Before we continue this, I don't want to show you. So this video didn't get as much play because this happened months ago. But this is a clip of Tim Walz being asked about the uncommitted movement, where voters in Michigan, in this case, voters in Minnesota, were not voting for Joe Biden and instead of voting for uncommitted as a way to signal to Joe Biden, hey, we want you to care about Palestinians. And Tim Walz, again, this is well before there's any idea of him being in contention for anything. This is just how he feels about this issue. This is how he was able to, or this is how he defended the uncommitted vote.
When you have rational
40,000 votes right now, 20% of the vote going to uncommitted, and we've seen that already in this primary in Michigan. What message are voters in your state trying to send to President Biden? And what do you want to see President Biden do in response?
Yeah, look, they're engaged. We're really proud in Minnesota. Civic responsibility. We have some of the highest voter turnouts. These are voters that are deeply concerned, as we all are. The situation in Gaza is intolerable. And I think trying to find a solution, a lasting two-state solution, certainly the president's move towards humanitarian aid and asking us to get to a ceasefire, that's what they're asking to be heard. And that's what they should be doing. We've gone through this before, and we know that now we make sure we've got 8 months. We start bringing these folks back in. We listen to what they're saying. That's a healthy thing that's happening here. But I would note that that the former president lost twice as many votes here in Minnesota to Nikki Haley. And I've seen some of these exit polls out of North Carolina and others. 80% of folks said they're not voting for him who voted for Nikki Haley. We'll get these folks back. I think it's take them seriously. Their message is clear that they think this is an intolerable situation and that we can do more. And I think the president's hearing that.
And here he is on a picket line. Again, this is well before there's any idea of Kamala Harris even taking over.
Governor Walz emphasizing Minnesota is a labor state.
No, all we're saying is negotiate a fair contract, get together with them, get back to work. When we all do better is kind of a Minnesota mantra, and that's what these folks are on.
Adam Ducks.
I am still a little bit in shock that the right thing happened.
Equivalent of like a 72-hour emotional balloon drop just cascading over the Democratic Party, yeah. The sense of joy, relief, elation, all the things. I do wonder, though, you know, as the governor of Minnesota, there's been a lot of talk about how Trump is very much doubling down on white working class votes, how J.D. Vance is a direct, expression of that. I know you had some harsh words for J.D. Vance, and I think he said this morning on Morning Joe, people like J.D. Vance know nothing about small town America. Talk to me a little bit more about why you think this is a gross miscalculation on the part of the Trump campaign.
Yeah, they don't. They tell us, and they think this is about, hey, look, I grew up in a town of 400 people. 24 kids in my graduating class, 12 were cousins. The things that make small towns work are good public schools. Things that work about being good to your neighbors and helping out. And the golden rule of a small town, mind your own damn business. He wants to be in our exam rooms. They want to come and try and tell us they want to privatize our public schools. You think you're going to find a private school in the town of 400? These are absolute policies. His robber baron mentality as a venture capitalist gutted middle America, told us that it wouldn't work. So I have to tell you, they are misreading where people are at. Look, I won't underestimate. You can scare people. You can bring anger. You can tell them, oh, the brown man's going to steal your job. But these are good folks that just simply want a fair shake, and that fear doesn't work. What soon-to-be President Harris, and building on the Biden legacy, is bringing back good jobs, bringing back manufacturing jobs, investing in our public schools, treating teachers, nurses with dignity. Those are the things that are there. He's totally misreading this. The guy flips on everything. It frustrates me that somehow this, the denigration that Hillbilly Elegy did, that some.
There is a quote that just came out from Pelosi. To characterize Tim Walz as left is so unreal. He's right down the middle. He's a heartland of American Democrat. Why is Pelosi so awesome now? What happened? What's going on with Nancy Pelosi? Why is she so great? This is exactly how you reframe this discussion. Feeding school children should not be seen as left wing. That should be seen as sensible, moderate, middle politics. Expanding healthcare, having affordable education, expanding rights to LGBTQ Americans. None of this should seem left or should appear left wing or should be positioned as left wing. All of this is down the middle, obvious shit. It's human rights. Nancy Pelosi, great job.
Somehow this is a cultural anger or whatever. No, we're mad that Republican policies gutted our schools, gutted our communities, and now you have you have soon-to-be President Harris talking about reinvesting in that. I couldn't be more excited. And being from a small town, I refuse. Your previous guest was right. I'm a 50-straight strategy guy. We're going to win the governorship down in North Carolina. We're going to win it up in New Hampshire. We're going to compete in Montana. We're going to compete in Indiana because our policies work. This isn't rah-rah our team. This is what's good for the middle class. So I'm excited about it, and I think our messenger in Kamala Harris today, the joy and the smiles on people's faces. Look, I got a 23-year-old daughter. She's like, it's brat summer. We're back. They're there. Everything's just fired up again. It's good. And I'm like, I don't know what you mean, but I'm sure it's a good thing. So we're excited. So
I think a lot of people are getting familiar with brat summer, Governor. I have to ask, though, because we're talking about J.D.
It's also worth noting, Tim Walz was the favorite of Nancy Pelosi and Bernie Sanders. The consensus candidate. All the stars aligned for this to happen. Such a brilliant choice. This is going to be like I think Kamala Harris was likely going to win anyways, even if she picked Shapiro. But I think with Walz, you have the ability here to just wreck this election. There are going to be states up for contention that I don't think people expected. This is just the perfect ticket. All right, let me get some. I'll continue this. Let me get some chats first. All right. Lots of generosity pouring in here. Lawrence says, I just woke up. This feels like a dream. Pinch me. Andrew S. says, you might need to get a new sound drops with Walz and or Harris. You're right. I love me Bernie, but these are out of date. So if I can find Walz saying the word rational, that would be fantastic. Or Kamala Harris saying rational. I got a lot of people saying rational, national. Where's my...
That makes rational, national sense.
Even Janine Pirro is on the rational national train.
When you have rational national priorities.
All right, where was I? Vib Hassam, thank you for your $12. Belkatir, I will not say this name properly. Belkatir Dijmila with £5. Thank you. Says, I'm Algerian and I'm happy for Americans. This will bring some hope to them finally. Not just America, the world. You really did not want Trump in again for anybody, for any citizen of the world. So this is really good news. Clarissa, thank you for your dono. Brad Diggin says, I can't wait for the VP debate. Vance is going to get annihilated. Oh my God. Is there a schedule for that VP debate? I know there was one for Harris. I'm not sure if it's the same schedule. VP debate. Harris, Vance. Let's see, when was it supposed to be? I cannot find it. Oh, they declined. Trump campaign declines to commit JD Vance to VP debate. That was from July 17th. So Harris accepted. I guess they're going to have 3 debates or 3 possible debates. July 23rd? Okay. I guess July 23rd was supposed to be a debate. That clearly didn't happen. And August 13th. So I assume that's not happening. They're going to have a VP. I'm sure they'll schedule a VP debate. Vance can't run from that. Trump can run, but Vance has no excuse. Riaz Guerrera, thank you for your, oh my God, $50 super chat. Super generous. Thank you. It says, I'm officially crediting David Dole as one of the primary forces responsible for Tim Walz's VP selection. Well done, sir. You know what? I'm glad you said it, not me. I'm not going to say anything, but I'm going to say this. I did a video on Tim Walz that hit 300,000 views, something like that, weeks ago. This is right at the beginning, right when Kamala Harris became the presumptive nominee. I did a video on who should be her running mate, and it was all about Tim Walz, and that was before he was popular. But it wasn't just like, I'm not going to say it was me. This was at a time, this was on the day when people were really latching on to the idea that, hey, this guy, Tim Walz, is really good at communicating here. So I just did a video on that. And I don't know. Maybe Kamala Harris watched and thought, you know what? This David Dole guy is making some points. The reality is I'm not going to take credit for that, obviously. But there were a lot of people, I was one of the many voices that talking up Tim Walz. And I'm sure in some way when that many people have a positive reaction to one choice, that feeling is going to emanate. It's not just me. It's just like when people see these clips, see this guy, see him talk, see his record, that people are going to have feelings and be like, yeah, this guy is fantastic. And that is going to, reverberate and have, impact the zeitgeist in some way. So I think, definitely a part of it. Rebecca Dennis, thank you for your $49.99 generous super chat. Jonathan Scott says the era of Obama Dems is over. All hail Walzism. I also want to be clear, this is the honeymoon phase. This is before the election. Obviously, we're all rah-rah this ticket. If they win, and I think they will, in fact, I'll make a prediction now. They're definitely going to win. Kamala Harris and Walz are going to win. They're, at some point during their presidency, they're going to do something that we don't like. Just to be clear, I don't want to pat down all the excitement. Let's be excited. Let's be happy that this is happening. But it's just the reality that there's going to be positions that they take, things that they do or don't do, that are going to bother us. So I'm just saying, don't expect, don't take what I'm saying now as some sort of endorsement of the future of this presidency. Just that, take my excitement for the excitement of the election. And, we'll see once they're in. Once they're in, that's when the journalism starts. That's when it's important to criticize these people for not doing what needs to be done. But in the meantime, allow us to be happy and understand, or be happy with the fact that it's not going to be Donald Trump in there, where there is no pressure point at all and just the absolute worst of the worst in power. Kadaudas? Thank you for your $27 super chat. Now all she needs to do is bring Stephanie Kelton back in for economic advice ASAP. That'd be an interesting move. I would be stunned if that happened. Rasteb, walnut pilled. That's a good way to put it. Walnut pilled. Jericho Anderson, proud lifelong Minnesotan here. I'm still in shock that she picked Walz. I haven't been this excited since Bernie 2016. I hear that. Car Wash Freak, Walz will definitely appeal to non-voters and union. Yes, agreed. T King says, I joined the Walz train after your video. There we go. I'm glad you did. It's me. I did it. I picked Walz. Thank you, Kamala Harris, for listening to my advice.
Vance, who of course is Trump's running mate as of right now. The questions around when we're going to find out if, as Kamala Harris is the de facto Democratic nominee, when the feasible timetable for finding out who her running mate may be, because you are chair of the Rules Committee. We know that there's going to be potentially virtual roll call voting happening between August 1st and August 7th. Should people out there who are watching this eager with anticipation believe that the vice presidential nominee will be announced in that same time frame? Is there any indication you might give us?
Look, that's a choice that Vice President Harris will make. I think our rules are the way they've always been. It's the way we did it in 2020, voting virtually. It's an open process, by the way. Anybody who wants to run can, if you can get 300 delegates. It's going to be tough because everybody's lined up behind the vice president because they love the message, they love the hope. But you certainly can do that. We'll go through the process. We'll get a vote. It will then be the vice president's decision. You normally see this, that on the first day of the convention, the announcement is made. Most of this is just
Here's another clip that I had not seen. This, the RNC Research posted this clip. I hadn't seen this clip. This is a great clip, and they're posting this as if this is like, oh, look at what Tim Walz is saying here.
But we can get out there, reach out, make the case. And for one thing, don't ever shy away from our progressive values. One person's socialism is another person's neighborliness.
but we can get out.
That's an attack line? It's so insane. He's simply saying people that what people call socialism is just community, being kind to each other, just understanding that people need help sometimes, and it's okay if we help them. Just like, look at, they got nothing. When their attack lines are positive videos of Tim Walz, they are fucked.
The ballot requirements, because since January 6th, Republicans have.
Sorry, I'm going to keep stopping and starting this. Just going to bring up things as I see them. Pramila Jayapal tweeting out, Governor Tim Walz, Kamala Harris running mate. Together, the Harris-Walz ticket will soundly defeat Trump-Vance and continue delivering for the American people. I'm so proud to support him. Actually, let me unmute the cable news feed.
Exploration of the park.
An ad. Let me just find some more clips. Oh yeah, if any of this is like music that's copyrighted, then I cannot play that. All right, let me see here. The feeds are going wild with happiness.
Tried to destroy our electoral system, and there's no sense of protecting the democracy. We want to make sure that we don't miss any deadlines, lock that up. But I think that'll be a choice for the vice president. It'll be one that we want to make sure that she picks someone as the right person for her and can lead us to victory, because I think all of us, there's one goal here: defeat Donald Trump and bring America back that we love.
Do you know that Donald Trump is tweeting about you being on Fox News, complaining? Why did Fox News?
That's before they show that. Yes, as far as I saw, this may still be the only VP candidate that Trump publicly lashed out at recently, and it's because he was on Fox News kicking Trump's ass, and Trump did not like it.
Put up Tim Walz, governor of Minnesota, where I am leading. They make me fight battles I shouldn't have to fight. Do you have thoughts on that?
Yeah. Well, he has nothing better to do, apparently, on that. Look, this is,
He's complaining
I don't
about
get
Fox
it. I'm going to
News,
go and
Governor.
talk to these folks. Yeah, I know. Well, here's my thing, too, is just to be candid. In rural America, my relatives are watching Fox News. I get it. But I think we can take a message to them. But this idea of being obsessed with this, saying that, look, it's going to be tight. It's going to be a tight race, but we're going to win. And you talked about this new coalition, the Obama coalition. I'll tell you that I believe soon-to-be President Harris will win older white folks like me, like my family, because it's a message that matters to us. She's talking that we matter, that our schools matter, that our jobs matter, that our environment matters, those freedoms. These are weird people on the other side. They want to take books away. They want to be in your exam room. That's what it comes down to. And don't, get sugarcoating this. These are weird ideas. Listen to them speak. Listen how they talk about things. Listen to how your previous guests were right. Like you said, they've told them that they shouldn't talk about race. They can't help it. It is built into their DNA because there is no plan. There's no health care plan. There's no health care plan. There's nothing to do on this. They want to take away our alliances and leave Russia to do whatever they want. Look, they are bad on foreign policy. They are bad on the environment. They certainly have no health care plan. And they keep talking about the middle class that, as I said, a robber baron real estate guy and a venture capitalist trying to tell us they understand who we are. They don't know who we are.
That's that.
God damn, he's so good. He's so good. So I got a clip of Nancy Pelosi this morning on Morning Joe talking about this pick.
Tim Walz is wonderful. And she had many good choices among the 6 and certainly among the 2. I'm a big fan of Governor Shapiro. Tim Walz, I know very well. He served in the House. To characterize him as left is so unreal. It's just not what the question. He's right down the middle. He's a Heartland of America Democrat. And he was the chair of our Veterans Affairs Committee. And I don't want anybody to forget that, because he made tremendous, tremendous gains for our veterans. Working with our folks on the Appropriations Committee and with the Speaker, we made more progress than had ever been made in the history of our country since the GI Bill under his leadership. 25 years in the National Guard, longest serving non-commissioned officer ever served in the Congress of the United States. So he brings the security credential, he brings the rural credential, and he will do well in moral America.
Nancy Pelosi's got it. There's his record here on the Middle East. Mainstream on Israel, supports Gaza ceasefire, anti-Iraq war, supports Iran nuclear deal, opposed strikes on Syria in 2013.
More of an urban party. So they believe that the Governor Walz on the ticket sort of opens the door back up to a broader party. We shall see. Again, Vice President Harris is at the top of the ticket. It is the Harris-Walz campaign, not the other way around, and vice presidents often do not make a huge difference, but on the margins, perhaps. But, sir, we're going to get a look at that here tonight in Philadelphia, but then on the road in the coming days. Tomorrow is a key stop in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. That, of course, is in western Wisconsin, not far at all from Minnesota, and that is where he is going to appear with her, and then later in Detroit, and meeting at a UAW headquarters on Thursday as well. So it's the labor support, it's the progressive support, really the tenets of the Democratic Party coming together, and the intent here for the Harris campaign is to keep this momentum alive. Don't do anything to slow it, but we shall see how that falls into place. She's been on a bit of a rocket ride here, there's no doubt about it, and they're hoping this choice continues that on, but we shall see. But again, it's his authenticity.
Tim Walz in 2018. The economy is a garden, not a jungle. The idea that you're somehow more fiscally responsible by not investing in education, healthcare, and transportation makes a nice political talking point, but it makes no sense. Not when we could have a better educated, healthier workforce that lives longer and contributes more to the economy. That's what a forward-leaning, vibrant Minnesota economy looks like.
When you have
Don't take the bait.
National priorities.
He's so good. He's so good. Let's get some more super chats here. Sheila Collins, new member, thank you. Immune Fusette, if I said that correctly, thank you for your super chat. Says, I'm glad Harris picked Walz. Now all she has to do is keep Lena Khan, and I'll know for sure that she means business. Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one, because the CEO of LinkedIn, I think it's the CEO of LinkedIn, gave the Harris campaign like $7 million and then went on CNBC discussing how he doesn't like Lena Khan. So there's clearly an attempt at pressuring Harris in a direction away from Khan. But Lena Khan has been one of the best aspects of the Biden administration. So we will see. You know, this is stuff that we will obviously think about after the election, assuming they win. Asa Rosa, thank you for your super chat. Says the Olaf Palm of the U.S. Dango Bangle, thank you. Says Metal Gear music plays. Weirdos try not to make normies look awesome. Critical failure. Snake. Anti-corporatist, thank you for your $2 super chat. Vibe Hassam, thank you for your super chat as well. When did Nancy Pelosi become awesome? Since leaving the speakership, she has become awesome. She has said several awesome things at this point. Yesterday, there was I didn't see the video, but there was a quote of her, I think it was on CNN, where she was defending the people criticizing Josh Shapiro. So I guess it had come up that, people are being anti-Semitic towards Josh Shapiro. She's like, I don't think they're being anti-Semitic. I think there's just a different policy perspective there. So coming to the defense of the Shapiro critics, like this is doing stuff you would not expect Nancy Pelosi to do. Obviously, she was one of the main factors in pushing out Joe Biden. She was asked about has she talked to Joe Biden since then, and she hasn't. Then when she was asked about how's your relationship with Joe Biden, she said, you'll have to ask him. Nancy Pelosi, I don't know. She should really think about becoming speaker. She's a solid force for good, apparently. Shane Foster, walnuts and coconuts work quite well together. I never thought about that. I'm not sure I've had a walnut with a coconut, but I can't see why it wouldn't work. Okanagan, Summer says, says nothing, but gives a super chat. Very generous. Thank you. Justin Kosick, thank you for your chat. Says, do you think Harris will distance herself from Biden policies if she wins the presidency? I'm sure. I don't think it'll be distancing. If anything, it'll be, they'll frame it as a continuation. So if there is, improvements on healthcare in some way, it won't be viewed as separating herself from Biden. It'll be viewed as, in addition to, it'll be viewed as an evolution of where they were. And I would say on Gaza, she's already began that process by actually showing humanity to Palestinians. So, there's only so much she can do right now as VP. She doesn't control the direction that Biden's taking. But she's going to do, I think, once she has the power, when she's in, the hope is that there's, the chains will be off because she no longer will be under Joe Biden as vice president, obviously. So she will have the ability to do more. And at that point, it's on, organizing pressure campaigns to try and make some changes, or to push for changes. Roger Williams, Walz will sweep the floor in a VP debate against fans. Yeah, someone else mentioned the VP debate. I am very much looking forward to that. Player 2 says, even if you've earned it, you still owe. Tupac, Walz. That says, VP debate scheduled by Vance, Trump's VP, the multimillionaire hillbilly, pushed for Levin Furniture to be the venue. Polly Fufu, thank you for your super chat. Lots of generosity today in the chat. People are happy. This is what I've noticed. For obvious reasons, people are very happy. I want to try and stand here at least until the official announcement hits from Kamala Harris herself. I assume there's going to be a video. If that takes too long, it may come out at like lunch. Then I'll do a separate video on that probably anyways. So even if not online for the official announcement.
World policies. And look, we have to remember he won a Republican seat and held it for a dozen years, as we are seeing and hearing in all the reporting. He governed as a centrist when he had a Republican legislature because, as you have said, he knows how to reach across the aisle. And then when he had a Democratic legislature, he started passing policies that were incredibly popular to the vast majority of Minnesotans. And so that is not going to be, I think, an attack that's going to land credibly at all. They're going to do everything, Republicans will do everything that they can to try to paint him that way, but it's just not going to work because he's going to be able to speak to the authenticity of who he is. He grew up in a town of 400 people. He went to school and graduated from a class of 24 people, 12 of whom were his cousins. So that is just not something that is going to, it's going to land.
I will say it is a victory for the humanities, as Governor Walz was a social studies teacher, yeah. A setback for STEM in schools across the country. I want to bring in Doug High for a moment here. Doug, Walz versus the other possible contenders here. You are a Republican. Do you think this makes it a harder or easier Democratic ticket to beat?
I don't think it matters all that much. And I met Congressman when he was in Congress. I met Congressman Walz several times. I won't confirm cuddly, but I'll say definitely affable, a very nice person, somebody that's real and relatable to talk to. But I think of past presidential nominations. Think of that debate when Lloyd Benson eviscerated Dan Quayle. And what happened? We sort of only remember Lloyd Benson for one question and one answer. That ticket lost. I was at the first event that John Edwards and John Kerry had in Raleigh, North Carolina after Edwards.
Here's another reason to be happy. Apparently the corporations are not happy. So here's the CNBC dude on Morning Joe.
I can't even begin to imagine what the business community is going to think about a progressive. That's the governor's house.
I can tell you already. I'm literally.
But Andrew, yeah, go ahead.
I'm literally texting with a number of CEOs right now, and not to say that CEOs are an arbiter of anything, but the business community, as you just said, I think was hoping, maybe hoping against hope, that the governor of Pennsylvania would be the vice presidential pick, and that was going to be a larger indicator or signal about how Vice President Harris would govern as president, potentially moving more towards the center as opposed to moving more towards the left. Clearly, it appears at least that this pick, at least in the eyes of the business community, is a signal that, in fact, she may want to govern more from a progressive left standpoint. You know, you talked about Shapiro. His stance on fracking, for example, was something that that the business community thought, okay, we can work with him. And given the sort of back and forth now of where Harris has been on fracking, that was going to ultimately help her. I don't think we know enough exactly about this pick's views on certain economic issues. I think you're going to see a lot of deep dives into tax policy and other things that he's pursued. But clearly in this sort of, you know, what is centrist, what's more left, that is the view this morning, at least literally in the minutes that this has been coming out as I've been working my fingers on the phone here.
Andrew. Yeah, and Andrew, politically, I mean, if you just followed what politicians have been saying in the Democratic Party, he is a darling of progressives. He's a darling of the left. And they were lobbying very hard for a progressive ticket with progressive in the number 1 and a progressive in the number 2 slot. That's exactly what they got. Let's now go.
What? Kamala Harris is, I'm sorry, not progressive. What are the examples? She ran a campaign that attempted to support things like Medicare for all, and then she abandoned them. And then interestingly, when she abandoned her more popular positions, like Medicare for all, that's when she tanked. Didn't even make it to the first voting state. We don't really know who Kamala Harris is right now. I mean, you can maybe look at her, I don't know, record in the Senate, but there's been very few things that have even made it to the Senate to pass that actually can be viewed as somewhat forward-thinking and progressive while she was in the Senate. That it's hard to position her that way because there wasn't really an opportunity. We're going to see now, when she has the real power, who she is. This is also, I think, why it's been so hard for the right to criticize her, because it's, what are they going to latch onto? That they have nothing to really criticize her over, because there hasn't really been any big moves that she has made, anything to really, you know, hit home. So she's been the VP and kind of hidden for the past 4 years. So this is the idea that Kamala Harris is like the left wing pick, when clearly she wasn't in 2020 by the left wing, who wanted Bernie Sanders. Like what are you talking about? But again, this is how Joe Scarborough is a former Republican. This guy is a corporate guy. I'm sure he did not want Tim Walz. So even though he is voting Democrat now, he is going to view these issues from a very corporate lens. So, you know, I guess to him, Kamala Harris is left, but even from that perspective, she isn't left. So why? Because she went after big real estate while she was in power briefly in California. Like it's just there's very little to latch onto to really know who she is, you know, in terms of her ideology, except that her pick now is awesome. So maybe you can latch onto that she likes a guy who passed school lunches and expanded healthcare and made college more affordable. Like, I guess you could maybe view that as a left-wing move, but there isn't much in her history to do so.
Available to her before making.
Actually, I got more clips from this morning to show.
Most consequential political decision.
Here we go. So this more the Nancy Pelosi chat. We saw the beginning of it, but I can play it again. It's only a minute.
When you have
and of Governor Tim Walz is wonderful, and she had many good choices among the 6 and certainly among the 2. I'm a big fan of Governor Shapiro. Tim Walz, I know very well. He served in the House. To characterize him as left is so unreal. It's just not what the question. He's right down the middle. He's a heartland of America Democrat. And he was the chair of our Veterans Affairs Committee. And I don't want anybody to forget that, because he made tremendous, tremendous gains for our veterans, working with our folks on the Appropriations Committee and with the Speaker. We made more progress than had ever been made in the history of our country since the GI Bill under his leadership. 25 years in the National Guard, longest serving non-commissioned officer ever served in the Congress of the United States. So he brings the security credential, he brings the rural credential, and he will do well in rural America. And I heard Joe say, well, Biden did better. Well, Biden was running against Donald Trump. Joe Biden, Tim Walz was running against somebody who had more credentials in rural America, but he still won. He still won. So I really, it's mystifying to me to see someone that I worked with, shall we say, right down the middle, characterized on the left in this regard.
All right, I'll get to more on this. I just want to get some super chats, but it's really good to see Nancy Pelosi push back on Joe Scarborough's fucking bullshit. Polly Fufu, thank you for your super chat. Mo Me says Kamala was sidelined as VP. Could Walz be as well? I guess it depends what you mean sidelined. I mean, the VP is still the VP, so you know he's not going to be in power. But no, I think Walz will be more visible. Biden was just old school, right? He'd been in Washington forever, so I'm sure that was a part of that. Michael Andre says Biden's Build Back Better is still the game. Yeah, if they can get back to that agenda that was slashed by President Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema, then that would be a starting point for sure. Immune Fusette 19 says Nancy's husband getting attacked radicalized her against another Trump term. That's a possible scenario or explanation. I'm gonna need to grab some water in a second here. T King, just proof left equals people right. Sorry, just proof left equals people, right equals business. Melissa H says corporate community, not business community. Yeah, I think it's important to separate those. Nothing's wrong with the existence of business. The issue is corporations and their total power over labor. Lex says, I'm just in shock. The Democrats are giving me hope twice in 1 year. Are we sure they aren't teasing us? This is wild. Electron Creation says, this makes my day, hell, my year so far. I know I would get the news from you, David. Thank you. Jacqueline Leach says, I agree with the $50 donation about David's ability to get a message out, but I am also on a budget. Oh, thank you for your super chat. Never feel bad about not giving me $50. Not everybody can afford that. That's ridiculous. I appreciate all support, regardless. Even if it's just hit subscribe, hit a like, even if that's all you could afford, I appreciate you. So hit subscribe, hit that like button if you haven't already. I'm going to grab some water as I continue playing this.
He has her confidence, obviously. That was the decision that the president, not our presidential nominee, soon to be president of the United States, has made. I respect the decision, and I respect all the rest. Look at the bench. Josh Shapiro, fabulous. Buttigieg, Beshears, Pritzker. The list goes on of so many great leaders in the Democratic Party across the country. Mark Kelly as well. So they were all great. She had wonderful choices to make. And I want to say Gretchen Whitmer, the governor of Michigan as well, even though she took herself out of the running early on. He has a great vision for our country. It's about working class families, about rural America, about our veterans. He has won for governor 2 times in Minnesota. Reverend Sharpton talked about his decision in terms of the George Floyd such a sad situation. And obviously, we respect the judgment of our nominee for president, and her comfort level is our comfort level.
Madam Speaker, this, of course.
Kyle Griffin reporting here from MSNBC. Vice President Harris wanted to make her final decision. Waited to make her final decision until this morning. She wanted to sleep on it one more night before making the call. So it was not made yesterday like some had reported. It was made this morning, the last minute. Oh, I'm going to be watching that rally. I think it's tonight, right? In Philadelphia. If I can stream that, I will. We'll see.
Is now the beginning of the campaign. There's a Democratic nominee for president, and there will be a Democratic nominee for vice president running against the former incumbent, Donald Trump. But your view on American politics, did it change early in the morning of October 28th, 2022, when you were awakened quite early in the morning here in the East Coast by your security detail telling you that your husband had been attacked and beaten in your own home, an element of politics, actually?
Well, that was a terrible threshold to cross, that someone would enter our home and
somebody mentioned that in the chat earlier, that this was a radicalized moment. Maybe it was.
Violently, looking for me. So yeah. I have my level of guilt in terms of all of this, because he was looking for me, found where's Nancy, echoing January 6th, where's Nancy, when they're going through the Capitol, and then to assault my husband in that way. It's not, and it's personal with us, with our family, that they made jokes of it after it was even more traumatizing for our children and for our grandchildren. But it really speaks very clearly to the fact that we can't have that kind of politics in our country. Politics is a peaceful way of resolving.
But it's already vicious already at the inception of the campaign.
Well, I will tell you, my situation didn't happen that day. It happened of years of the Republicans demonizing me, and some of them on this network demonizing me, and so it created an atmosphere where that would be acceptable. So we can't have that. We have to take that out of the picture. I was so saddened when the assault on the president. That has no play. Thank God it did not harm him greatly.
Some more chats here. Lex says, I'm just in shock. The Democrats are giving me hope twice in 1 year. Are we sure they aren't teasing us? This is wild. Wait, did I read that already? Or did I not? Whatever. Thank you, Lex. Electron says, this makes my day, hell, my year so far. I knew I would get the news from... Yeah, I read this. I don't know why I thought I didn't. Bruce. There we go. That's a new one. Thank you for your $9.99. Says, the GOP is going to make it sound like she just picked Shea Rivera as VP. This should be entertaining watching the freak out. They already are. I saw... Let me find this tweet. I like Kyle's reply to it. Katie Pavlich, this is one of those Fox News freaks. Governor Tim Walz is basically Bernie Sanders. Harris-Walz Democratic ticket is the furthest left in American history. And this is the right way to respond. Just enjoy a cigar. Where was I here? Yeah, we finished this, didn't we? Or no, we did not.
And he's survived, but we can't have that.
Eric RPG, thank effing God, Jesus, Satan. Thank you, Eric. Losing my voice here. Big Orange. One thing that this pick does, I think he meant to say, is also put more congressional seats in play. Wider margins in the Midwest means more chances at flipping House seats. Jeremy Smith as well. Thank you for your chat. I'll find some more clips from reactions this morning.
Our politics.
I will pay attention to see when an official announcement hits. I'm sure it'll come soon, probably. Again, if I'm offline when that happens, I'll just do a video today about it.
Strange. We don't know the motivation. We don't know the person. What happened in our house was directly related to the politics of the day.
Speaker Pelosi, isn't that one of the things you hope to bring out in this book, The Art of Power?
Since they're not talking about the pick anymore, there's no point continuing that clip. The Trump campaign is already trying to attack him. Tim Walz would be the worst VP in history. Even worse than dangerously liberal and crooked Kamala Harris. He's that bad. He'll unleash hell on earth and open our borders to the worst criminals imaginable. They have nothing. This is just the standard attack lines. They have gone so extreme and stupid with their attacks that they don't know where to go anymore because they're all so absurd. Like, who does this work on except for people that are already voting for Trump? This is just speaking to the cult that they were already going to come out. Like, Tim Walz is not going to activate any Republican voters to come out to vote who weren't already going to vote. So there's no hurt there. And at the same time, he will help to activate people on the left that maybe were so-so on Harris, like they liked her more than Biden, I imagine, but weren't sure about how she would continue. And now that she's picked Walz is a good indication that she's at least potentially a little more open to some good ideas.
Come under closer view. He knows that. He's prepared to talk about that. But Jim, if you look at the breadth of supporters who supported him, Bernie Sanders was a big supporter because he believes the Democratic ticket needs to talk more about the working class.
And he just tweeted out, I'll get to that in a second.
Central in this campaign, as it may, this will be certainly something interesting for him to watch, for us to watch on Governor Walz. He does not have deep economic experience, but he comes.
Bernie Sanders tweeting out here. Tim Walz is a great asset to Kamala Harris's winning campaign and administration. He's a former public school teacher, football coach, and strong union supporter. As governor, he delivered for working families in Minnesota. As VP, he will deliver for the working families of the U.S.
Talk to folks in the Harris camp. What they see in him is a direct answer to some of the voters that have left the Democratic Party for Trump over these last 9 years. And they believe he can speak to those voters in those critical places. There's no doubt about that. You now are going to find a very compressed schedule here. We've been watching and observing and reporting on the last 2 weeks of this battle to define Kamala Harris, her trying to get out front with her own narrative to the country in this new context, and Donald Trump and his team trying to define her. Now you're going to add in a total unknown to most of the country, and the team is going to try and bring him into this narrative that they are shaping on the Harris side. At the end of the day, do I think this election is going to come down to Tim Walz versus J.D. Vance? I do not. I think it is going to come down to Kamala Harris versus Donald Trump. But what you're going to see in these next few days, starting with this video, you know, that you said she offered this call, they shot a video. By the way, you know how TV is made. Right now that video is being ingested, cut, put together to be rolled out, get donations off of, build lists off of, all of it in advance. That's what we'll first see before we see the ticket together tonight in Pennsylvania. And through these 5 battleground states, originally supposed to be 7, but the Tropical Storm Debbie in Georgia and North Carolina took those off the map for this initial debut. But this is the beginning of the Harris team defining what this ticket means for America in contrast to the Trump-Vance team.
Yeah, and the fact that Walz is a hunter, he's a football coach, I mean, all of those things, he's going to be deployed to all of those states where all of that is very important. MJ, Jeff Zeleny, David Chalian, thanks to all of you very much. Obviously, we're going to continue following this. Vice President Kamala Harris has picked her own vice presidential running mate, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. Relative unknown on the national stage, not so much anymore. That's changing.
I got some more good news on Walz.
Breaking news in just a moment.
Let me bring this up. David Dane here, which, by the way, great follow if you're on Twitter. Writer for the American Prospect. Under Walz, Minnesota banned junk fees, banned non-competes, passed one of the best right to repair laws in the nation. He did make some concessions to Mayo Clinic and Uber Lyft, which I did mention in my piece. So let's see some things here. Where's he on monopoly power? His track record is excellent with a few blemishes. Let's start with a law he signed to block hospital mergers, which killed the $14 billion Sanford-Fairview combination. Hospitals drive a third of healthcare costs. So Matt Stoller doing some reporting as well. I want to find some more clips. Car Wash Freak says hopefully Biden goes out with a bang. I mean, we'll see with the Supreme Court stuff, though. I don't know if he'll be able to get any of it through, but he already is finally moving on that issue. Here we go. Here we go. Let's get some Fox News reaction. This will be funny.
Democrats have also touted Senator his relationship with Harris, notably closer than with some of the other front-runner VP ticket picks. What do you know about their relationship to one another from working with him and her?
Well, I don't think they overlapped in the Congress more than a couple years. I can tell you it's hard to build much of a relationship between the Senate and the House in just 2 years, especially when the congressman like Tim Walz was off running for governor. Let's be honest here, Jillian. For much of the last 2 weeks, most Democratic insiders thought Kamala Harris was going to pick Josh Shapiro, and that was the only potential choice that had an organized campaign against him by the pro-Hamas, anti-Semitic wing of the party. Frankly, Josh Shapiro and Tim Walz's views on Israel and the Middle East are not all that different. Kamala Harris is simply catering here to her far-left pro-Hamas element in the Democratic Party. I would.
Yes, of course. Tim Walz, the pro-Hamas candidate. These fucking losers, man. Oh my God. Even if Kamala Harris picked, I don't know, the worst choice, Shapiro or somebody worse, you'd have to ensure to not continue electing fucking losers like Tom Cotton. Like, these Republicans are so fucking disingenuous. They are disgusting. I don't care who her pick was. Do not allow these fucking freaks with their absolute bullshit to continue corrupting our minds.
Say that she's leading that wing of it, but let's be honest, she can't lead anything.
Well,
certainly not this country, not even her party.
You know,
Why? Why can't she lead anything? What does that even mean? Look at these vague general attacks. Oh, she can't lead. Why? Oh, she's not black. What? DEI. Huh? It's just like they're such fucking losers. You know, if the weird attack line didn't hit, I would go to loser, because they're such fucking losers, these people. It's unbelievable.
There is this question about what the relationship was before all this. How much did Kamala Harris know Tim Walz or have ever sort of talked to and had conversations with Tim Walz before the dark horse became the pick?
Sir, I'm told not much. They did not have much of a relationship. But another source just...
Oh, someone says, Opso asks, what will Trump's nickname be for Walz? Woke Walz. Watch. It's going to be Woke Walz. That's what, if I was Trump, in the Trump mindset, that's what I'd call him. Woke Walz. He fed hungry children at school. He's a terrible man, folks. He actually cares about people. He saved taxpayers' money. He made education affordable. And he fed starving children. Woke Walz. It's Woke Walz. That's what it is.
A moment ago pointed me back to a visit that Vice President Harris took to the Twin Cities in Minnesota in March, and she visited a Planned Parenthood clinic. Of course, she has been the leading champion on the, at the time, Biden-Harris campaign for abortion rights, and that has been one of the really anthems of her candidacy. And Governor Walz was at this Planned Parenthood clinic. It's the first time a sitting vice president has visited such a clinic, and I'm told that she walked away impressed by his demeanor, how he carried himself, and she liked him, but did not know much about him. And of course, at the time, this would have been unthinkable. Just 16 days ago, she was the running mate. She was not looking for her own running mate.
So it is apparently official on the website. I want to see. Here we go. It is up.
When you have rational national priorities.
Harris Walz. There's also from Instagram. Harris Walz. I assume a video will be going up sometime soon. JB Pritzker on Twitter just posted this saying, my friend Tim Walz is an excellent choice to be the next vice president of the United States. I'm ready to work alongside the Harris Walz team to help ensure victory for Democrats up and down the ballot in November. Let's win this.
When you have rational national priorities.
Apparently the texts have gone out saying, so this one is to someone named Melissa. Melissa, it's Kamala Harris. I'm pleased to share that I've made my decision. I might as well just show you this. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz will join our campaign as my running mate. This is a battle-tested leader who has an incredible track record of getting things done for Minnesota families. I know that he will bring that same principled leadership to our campaign and to the office of the vice president. Now, would you pitch in $50 to welcome Tim to our ticket? We're relying on your immediate support to defeat Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. It'll be interesting to see what the numbers raised are today. I feel like there will be a big boost. This is the grassroots candidate, right? Like, this is what the grassroots wanted. They wanted Tim Walz. So we should expect to see a big bump in fundraising today from small dollar donors. Samo says, thoughts on that upcoming Walz JD Vance debate? I think Walz will win it easily. I think, let's be clear, I think JD Vance would lose to pretty much anybody. He's just not great at all. He is terrible. He's not a good order. And he's also, it's not even just that. He's so phony. He is so phony. So I think Walz will do a fantastic, like, the contrast there will be so clear. You have Walz, who's like a real person. And you have JD Vance, who was made in a lab to achieve power. It's going to be very clear. The best in the North, thank you for your super chat, says, how much does Tom Cotton get from interest groups? Oh my God. It's the reason he exists. Kristen Granlund, thank you for your $10 generous super chat. As a Minnesotan, I didn't want him to leave, but saw everything that Lieutenant Governor has done, and I'm just cheering this on. Also, Trump has already sort of attacked Walz. He mentioned Minnesota in a rally recently. Really interesting. He did, well, even before that, Trump attacked Walz on Truth Social, complaining that Fox News had him on. Why is Fox News having on Tim Walz, where I'm leading? Trump claimed he was leading in Minnesota. I don't think that's the case. But he was angry that Tim Walz was on Fox News making the case. I'm still recovering from a sickness that I got last week. It sucks. Here we go. The tweet announcing it. Kamala Harris just tweeted out, I am proud to announce that I've asked Tim Walz to be my running mate. As a governor, a coach, a teacher, and a veteran, he's delivered for working families like his. It's great to have him on the team. Now let's get to work. There it is. This is wild that they did the right thing. I'm so not used to the Democratic Party doing the politically smart thing, let alone the more working class thing. But here they are. Tim Walz gave a speech to a conference of union workers. Shall we watch this? And if any news comes by, if anything else pops up, any videos or anything, I will jump to that. Let's check this out.
Stage, a true national leader advancing our cause, the governor of Minnesota, Tim Walz.
I'm proud to be here with you today. Proud to stand with you, brothers and sisters, for the work you do, not just for union members, but for all workers. I'm proud to now have the privilege of being the governor of Minnesota, but I come about speaking in front of you honestly. For several decades, I was a dues-paying union member, so I stood in the seats where you're at. Probably should be a few more of us as governors and members of Congress, but I have to tell you, in my first campaign for Congress, in a debate, my opponent came at me and said, "Tim is in the pocket of organized labor." And I popped back up, I said, "That is a damn lie. I am the pocket." And it seemed to me that if he was attacking me for standing up for collective bargaining, for fair wages, for safe working conditions, for apprenticeship programs, for health care, and for retirement, I'd roll the dice on that thing and see how it went, and it worked out pretty well. So, now, you don't get elected to Congress or governor as being a public school teacher, because you certainly have no damn money, and you're pretty busy in that classroom. But I'll tell you who did it, and there's a lot of these folks here. They're scattered around this room, and they came in with me. Dan McConnell and the Minnesota building trades were there with me from the very beginning, from the absolute start of when we did this. Now, they weren't with me because of my boyish good looks and magnetic personality. They were with me because we had shared values, that we cared about the same things, that we were there to work for working people and to see that the power of what we could do was something to see. Because everyone told us, oh, you get this union member, teacher, National Guard guy or whatever, he's got the unions walking with him in parades. Good luck with that. Because there had been one other Democrat since 1892 in that congressional district, and we had a 12-year incumbent. But with the help of the building trades, we won that race. And we won that race as a means to an end. It's not about winning races so you can bank political capital for the next race. You win races so you can burn the hell out of that political capital to improve people's lives. That's what those folks know. That's what they knew. Now, I have to tell you, because we're good Minnesota Lutherans, we have a rule. If you do something good and talk about it, it no longer counts. So what you have to do is get someone else to talk about you. So thank you for that, Mr. President, for telling those things. But I'll tell you what, I'll talk about the building trades in Minnesota. Folks who not only do their job, but folks like you that put out the extra time to do the work necessary because you know what it means. And when we were able to win the election in Minnesota in 2022, where we weren't supposed to, we did something we hadn't done in decades and only a few times. We won a pro-union majority in the House and Senate and in this governor. Now,
I want to bring up this fact because this is really cool. Tim Walz is the first person on a Democratic presidential ticket not to have attended law school since Jimmy Carter in 1980. This is a very positive sign. To have, again, a real person, to have a real person on this ticket is a massive asset.
so we got to work. I know that some of you come from states that you have to spend all your time fighting back right to work legislation and playing goalie. Now, we're a hockey state, but it's bad politics for me. I'm not a hockey guy. I'm a football guy, and I like to go on offense. So
there we go. We finally found the issue with Tim Walz. Not a hockey guy. This may lose him a few states, actually. Unfortunately, it may lose me. I don't like him anymore. We need more hockey people. The world needs more hockey people, I think.
We're not going to play defense. We're not going to be satisfied for saying, oh, Minnesota will never be a right to work state. Well, that's a given. What Minnesota was going to do is strengthen our right to collectively bargain. Minnesota was going to ban that practice of having those captive anti-union meetings. You go to jail now if you do that in Minnesota because you can't intimidate people. So,
good shit. Man, I keep learning things about him that are all positive. Here's before we get back to the speech.
When you have
quick video here of him and his daughter just being wholesome.
Hey, Minnesota, Governor Walz here, out at the State Fair with my daughter.
Hope.
Every year we as a family do something old and something new. I get to pick something, a classic, the old mill ride, to do that. And then Hope gets to pick something new.
I think we're going to go do the slingshot.
Which I don't know what it is, and they're keeping it from me. But then we're going to go get some food, corn dog.
I'm vegetarian.
Turkey then. And
Turkey's
then,
meat.
Not in Minnesota, turkey's special. And we will go do some of those things and report back.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Woo! Oh my God! Yes! Oh my God! It keeps going.
Yes!
That was good. Good job, Dad.
Oh, thanks, Hope. All right, Minnesota, it's worth it. Woo! Wow, that is wild.
That was pretty cool, actually.
That is wild.
Awesome. That would be good.
It was okay. It was so worth it. Good call.
It was good.
Thanks for talking me into it.
You're welcome.
Hey, Minnesota.
The Fox News attacks continue. These don't land because they've used this on everybody. Like, they called Obama, or not Obama, they called Biden at one point a communist even. Like, actually, and Obama as well. But this is like, you can't keep doing this and expect people to absorb it. It doesn't land. This is the boy who cried wolf.
Well, choosing a running mate is Kamala Harris's first big decision as the Democrat Party's nominee. And with this decision, choosing Tim Walz, she has proven just how dangerously liberal she is. Tim Walz is one of the most far-left governors in America. Much like Kamala Harris, he supports wide-open borders. He supports sanctuary cities. In Minnesota, he signed a bill giving licenses to illegal immigrants. Tim Walz, like Kamala Harris, is soft on crime. He also supports the defund the police movement. In fact, in Minnesota, violent crime has increased by 21% since he has been governor. And like Kamala Harris, Tim Walz is anti-American.
Is she doing the thing where it's crime increased across the board in every state during COVID? And then applying that, in Tim Walz's state, forget the context of the other states. In Tim Walz's state, crime has increased so much.
American energy. He signed a bill to ban carbon-based fuels in Minnesota by 2040. That is a threat to our national security. That is a gift to China. If Americans want to know what a Harris-Walz America would look like, look at the streets of Minneapolis in the summer of 2020 when they were literally burned to the ground. Look at the streets of San Francisco. Their liberal utopia is every American's worst nightmare, and we'll spend the next 92 days ensuring every American knows how radical the Harris-Walz ticket is.
Yeah, good luck with that. Please. This is the only fucking thing you have. This is the only fucking thing you have. It doesn't work. Your fucking cultist lunatics are already with you. You're not winning new people over with this fucking bullshit. Please continue. Continue highlighting how crazy it is to feed hungry children. Please continue highlighting how crazy it is to make education more affordable. Please highlight how crazy it is to legalize cannabis. Please. Please. Clowns. Let me get some more super chats here. Where was I? Opso says, I would love to see a Bernie Tim conversation. They just make my heart happy. That would be interesting. Stephanie, thank you for your generous super chats. David, I am so happy to hear this fantastic news from you. As a Bernie-crat, I was going to vote for Kamala no matter what, but now I'm donating Harris-Walz. Let's go. Opso says, and to think we have mostly Pelosi to thank for this. It's a weird time to live in. It is very weird. It's weird that positive things can happen in electoral politics. The best in the North says Trump going to need the heavy-duty pull-ups today. Texas hostage send help. Quite a name you have there. Says Walz potentially puts more purple states in play. Believe it. Yep, said that earlier. I think we will see more states in play that for Democrats that we did not expect. Paula D'Souza says, Kamala a progressive? And are those business tiers tasty or what? I don't speak Spanish, so I don't want to try. Or maybe I will. Estamos todos de pere bien. That sounded more French. I can do some French. That's why they came off as French. I did not learn Spanish growing up. But thank you, Paulo. Austin says, I was a Bernie delegate, and I'm crying right now. Justin Kosuk says, what bugs me about politics is when politicians both sides with extreme left and extreme right as if they're both evil. Can't name a bad left policy. Yeah, extreme left is, hey, I think people should I think people should be guaranteed health care. Extreme right is, we want to eliminate entire races of people. And then the middle is like, these things are the same. I'm like, no, clearly they are not. Dango Bangle says, can't lie, fencing greater than hockey, swords greater than sticks. What? Dango Bangle says, before you say anything, my HS, I guess you mean high school, has rusty swords. Frank James, very generous, $50. That's insane. Thank you, Frank. Says, thanks to, actually, you need a sound drop for that. Thanks, David, for clarifying tough topics. Thanks, Minnesota, for voting for Franklin, Ventura, and Walz. Yeah, there's a good track record there. You betcha. And Bad Jokes Brian says, now we need someone to make an updated quick reference video series on why each progressive issue, one by one, is positive, the negative talking points, plus how to properly respond. Centers have repeat talking points. Yeah, it would be convenient to have all that in one place for sure. I know I've done videos on every topic. It's just I have not collected it all into one. But good point. Where was I? I think I was in the process of looking for some more clips. So, see if I'm sure the video is going to go out soon if it isn't already out. Let me look it up. Nothing out yet. I am oddly looking forward to watching this political rally today. I want to see Walz and Harris on the stage. All right, let me find what was I playing? Oh, yeah, I was playing that speech. I'll get back to that while I look for some more updates and clips. Just to go again on that amazing line.
Legislation and playing goalie. Now we're a hockey state, but it's bad politics for me. I'm not a hockey guy. I'm a football guy, and I like to go on offense. So I said, we're not going to play defense. We're not going to be satisfied for saying, oh, Minnesota will never be a right-to-work state. Well, that's a given. What Minnesota was going to do is strengthen our right to collectively bargain. That Minnesota was going to ban that practice of having those captive anti-union meetings. You go to jail now if you do that in Minnesota because you can't intimidate people. So,
the response to the so far left crazy, this is what he said to Jake Tapper recently.
Acts as you being a big government liberal.
What a monster. Kids are eating and having full bellies so they can go learn, and women are making their own health care decisions. And we're a top 5 business state, and we also rank in the top 3 of happiness. Look, they're going to label whatever they're going to label. He's going to roll it out, mispronounce names, to try and make the case. The fact of the matter is, where you see the policies that Vice President Harris was a part of making, Democratic governors across the country executed those policies, and quality of life is higher, the economies are better, all of those things. Educational attainment is better. So, yeah, my kids are going to eat here, and you're going to have a chance to go to college, and you're going to have an opportunity to live where we're working on reducing carbon emissions. Oh, and by the way, you're going to have personal incomes that are higher, and you're going to have health insurance. So if that's where they want to label me, I'm more than happy to take the label.
Acts as you being a big government.
That is exactly how you combat this bullshit. So good. You know how long we have been waiting for a politician to speak on issues like this? Usually Democrats are defensive when they're called, far left. I love businesses. I'm a capitalist. That's the line Joe Biden goes to. I'm not a communist. I'm a capitalist. They just revert to being conservative. Here you have somebody actually defending their record, the positive things they have done for people. They're not running away from it. He is defending it as common sense. This is what you do. Paul H., generous super chat from California, says, sending love from California. It's a good day for the left. Keep up the great work. Thank you. Thank you so much, Paul. Texas hostage, send help. Once again with a super chat. Again, a crazy name. Says Minnesota rated 6th in the nation for business. Repeat. Yeah, they got nothing on this guy. Kadaudas. I may have pronounced your name differently earlier, I forget. But very generous $27 super chat. If Tim Walz were another Bernie Sanders, he would be calling out the corporatists in advance of the upcoming economic upheaval. As an apparent Kamala influencer, perhaps you could promote someone who understands MMT. I've discussed it in the past. It's one of those things where I'm very much like the stuff that I cover and want to talk about is very much what is immediate now, like what's happening now, what's possible now. Stephanie Kelton is nowhere near the White House. So it's one of those topics where it's more about theory than immediate possibilities. Matt with another 27. Thank you so much. I'm Canadian, but I'd like to remind Americans this would be a good time to donate to the campaign like we did for Bernie. They gave us something. Show them what we can do collectively if they listen to us. Great point. Yeah, if you do want to if you had planned to donate the Harris campaign, or even if you didn't, and now you love the fact that they are on the ticket together, that she picked Walz, show your support. Show that, hey, when you listen to us, it's good for you. It works out for you. So now would be a good time if you ever considered to get involved, or even just volunteer. Like volunteers, like door knockers, are going to be a big piece of this campaign as well. Very important to winning a race. Manpower.
Saw that, Governor.
Oh, showed that.
That's why those people walked in those parades. We have the strongest wage theft laws in the country, and we got an attorney general that enforces them. As you heard, we passed the largest infrastructure acts in Minnesota. We made sure that every single green energy job we're going to do is going to be a good union job to put that steel in the ground. We continue to run and run and run on making these things happen. And as you heard from President McGarvey, we had a hell of a partner in Joe Biden. Now, I don't know. I served in Congress up here, so someone asked me, I was back in D.C. today, do you miss being in Congress? I'd rather eat glass than be in Congress, I'm telling you. But we've got good partners. Those who are here are getting it done. And they come up with the dumbest damn names, IIJ and IRA. Gretchen Whitmer in Michigan got this right. Fix the damn roads. That's what that bill is. Just fix the roads, fix the bridges, expand out. And we saw more money come into Minnesota at any time in our history. A couple months ago, Joe Biden was up in Superior, Wisconsin. Those of you familiar with Superior and Duluth and the Great Lakes, and that's the terminus. That's the western edge of the St. Lawrence Seaway. It's an incredibly important place. And there's a bridge called the Blotnick Bridge that we've been talking for decades trying to fix. Joe Biden showed up a couple months ago and delivered $1 billion of the federal infrastructure money. We put in $400 million, Tony Evers put in $400 million, and we are going to have 3,000 construction jobs for the next 3 years rebuilding that bridge. That's good stuff.
Tim Walz has tweeted out, "It is the honor of a lifetime to join Kamala Harris in this campaign. I'm all in. Vice President Harris is showing us the politics of what's possible. It reminds me a bit of the first day of school. So let's get this done, folks. Join us. Awesome.
And Mr. President, you'll be glad to know the first thing I did was buy the biggest damn sign we could and said, this bridge is brought to you by Joe Biden and the folks who care about labor. You got a president who's willing to put his money where his mouth is, to walk the picket line and get things done. So look, I know and I see it, and I know your rank and file members. You hear it, I know it. I watched the Iron Range switch from solidly pro-labor area that will back folks to an area that's now a tough one politically on this. But look, you're nonpartisan. You'll support people who support labor. You've done it. And I know if you find a pro-labor Republican, the first thing you do is take a picture of them because it's like a damn Sasquatch. And the second thing is back them. Back them. We'll take anybody who wants to come on board. That's where you've been. Send them in. Look, I don't disagree with Republicans because they're Republicans. I disagree because they're wrong. And that's a big difference to make the case. And I get it that your rank and file members, they're not super excited. We keep hearing about this because the news tells us every damn day that the people aren't excited about it, so pretty soon they're not excited about it. But I hear your members say this, look, I'm just not into politics, just not into politics. And that's fair, that's their opinion, but it's my opinion to respond back to them. Too damn bad, politics is into you. So you better start figuring out what you're going to do, how you're going to make that happen. So I have to tell you, we have got to talk to our members. They can't be voting against their interests. I'll give you a free goddamn red hat if that's what it takes, and then vote for us on the things that get it. I don't care what it takes. You can fly a flag, do whatever you want to do. But the fact of the matter is, your members who tell you they're with you, and I had one of them try this, voted against this, voted against all the federal money, spends all the time criticizing the president, and wanted to show up for the ribbon cutting for that bridge. Hell no, you're not showing up for that bridge and cut. You're not showing up for that. No. No.
This guy is fucking awesome. Holy shit. I knew this before, but this speech is so good. We'll get back to it. I just want to share some shorter clips in the meantime. Here is Tim Walz discussing the uncommitted movement.
Have left. I want to ask specifically about frustration you've seen in Minnesota. During the primary process, some 19% of Democratic primary voters in Minnesota voted for uncommitted rather than for President Biden. That's nearly 46,000 people, largely calling for a ceasefire in Gaza. Does Vice President Harris need to change her message, specifically on this one issue, to break from Biden and to try to bring some of those voters back in?
Look, I think she's got an opportunity to show the leadership that we know is there. Look, those folks express their opinion, and I'm proud to be part of a party that doesn't all wear the same red hats and bow down a knee to one guy. They're frustrated by this. I think there's a golden opportunity to recognize we need a two-state solution, that the atrocities of October 7th are painful and they're real, and Israel's right to defend itself is real, but also the situation in Gaza is intolerable. The humanitarian crisis must be brought to an end. So I think having President Harris at a point, bringing folks together, recentering us as a world leader in peace and holding our alliances together, I think she's got a great opportunity, and I remain hopeful that that's the direction we need to go. It's certainly not going to be the failed policies of a wannabe dictator, which we've seen out of President Trump.
Let me grab some chats. That was a great response. It's similar to the one I showed earlier. He's somebody who is willing to listen and treat Palestinians as the people they are. Some chats. Squirtle says, I wanted Kelly, but I am really happy with Walz. Virginia Mackey says, Tim Walz is the right man at the right time. I'm happy today. Balthazar says, from the windows to the walls, quote, end quote. And Carolyn McMickle says, this Democrat socialist boomer is so happy she picked Walz. I am just seeing pure positivity. Like, Twitter is not usually positive like this. It has been more recently because of Biden dropping out. But everybody is just surprised, I guess, like happy, but also a little surprised that they're doing the right thing. Cenk Uygur, who kept arguing for Shapiro for some reason, I think because he thought they were going to pick Shapiro and wanted to kind of get out ahead of it as to not treat it like it was the end of the world. But tweets out, holy shit, I can't believe she picked Tim Walz. She's going to win. That's a bold choice. Democrats are never bold. The attitude is even more important than the pick, even though the pick is excellent. If she's the type who picks Walz, she might even try to get things done. Agreed.
So look, I have the privilege now of being the chair of the Democratic Governors Association. There's 23 of us. We represent the majority of Minnesotans. It wouldn't be any surprise to you, those are states strengthening labor laws, strengthening the middle class, expanding the right to collectively bargain, doing paid family and medical leave, making sure our kids have health care, making sure our schools. Hell, we did something in Minnesota, you'd think this would be, everybody's, oh, this is so exciting. You shouldn't get patted on the back for doing what you're supposed to do, but for Christ's sakes, we can at least feed our children. Our kids in Minnesota now get free breakfast and lunch. That's a good thing. They can eat. They can eat. But I'll tell you what the contrast is. I saw this week, the letter came out. Because of what our brothers and sisters, while not in the building trades, we'll still take them, our brothers and sisters down in Tennessee at the UAW said, no more of this crap, we're unionizing. We're going to get this done. No more. So what happened is 6 governors came out with a letter here a couple days ago in those states and threatened workers and said, if you unionize, this is what's going to happen.
Kamala HQ put this video up, but there may be music on it, so let me play quickly, see if I can hear.
People like J.D. Vance know nothing about small-town America. It's not about hate. It's not about...
Is that a real song? Do we know?
Collapsing in. The golden rule there is mind...
Okay, it's a clip I showed earlier, but there's just music put to it, so I'm not going to play it just in case it's...
Divided us.
I don't know what song that is.
Like that was something new. Oh, for Christ's sakes, they've been doing that since the beginning of time. It's what they do. But what we need to make sure is, if they're going to do that, you can be damn sure that my governors are going to put out a letter and say, we're going to support you in every way we can. We want you to organize. We want you to unionize. And we want you in our states. So,
look at that.
So look, you're here and you know it. And I know this is preaching to the choir, but the choir needs to sing. Now the time for the choir to sing. Elections have consequences. And if your members are struggling with this or whatever, and they make it personal, just be very clear, just like in my first campaign. Building trades weren't with me because of necessarily who I was or name. They were with me for our shared values. So don't vote for a person, vote for what they stand for. And you're going to see it in this election that it's very clear. Someone who stands for collective bargaining, someone who stands with unions, someone who stands for strengthening apprenticeship programs, someone who stands for project labor agreements, someone who's making sure prevailing wage matters, making sure health care is there, making sure our pensions are clear. So take the names off it. Quit worrying about, how old somebody is. Yeah, I'm sure Joe Biden wishes he was younger, but Donald Trump wishes he wasn't going to jail. So it's a wash. It's a wash. So vote for, vote your values, stand together, and I'll say this, if we do that, we truly are building the foundations for the future. Thank you all.
What a great speech. That was fantastic.
I do know when I wrote the damn bill.
I'd seen bits and pieces of that, but not the whole thing. The whole thing is fantastic. Amazing. He is incredibly pro-labor, clearly. And has, again, not just the talk. He has the actual policy to back it up. All right. Let me get some more chats here.
You don't know that. Second of all, I do know when I wrote the damn bill.
I read that. Big Orange Tea says, I know it's a pipe dream, but nothing would make me happier to see Harris Walz flip Ohio. That may be a little too far. I mean, can you imagine if they flipped J.D. Vance's state? Can you fucking imagine how amazing that would be? Don't get your hopes up for that. I feel like Ohio is just, it's red now. It's the water. Something's in the water. But I don't know. Things are possible. I do think more states will be in play. Alexander Altman with a $9.99 says Tim Walz is the kind of guy I think Hank Hill would have supported. Yes, I think so too. God, I wish I could do a Hank Hill impression. He's got a great voice. Depressed Progressive, $10 super chat. Thank you for your generosity. Says, I may have to change my screen name. Yes, you might. That one Katie, thank you for your super chat. Says, my Walz is more effective than your Walz. And Karen Blow, or is it Blow? That's an I. Karen Bio, thank you for your super chat as well. I'm hoping for an announcement video. I know they recorded one, so I want to see if they're going to post something soon. In the meantime, I will find more clips, things happening. Oh, here's another clip. What is this? Another clip of Tim Walz on a picket line. So this is when Minnesota nurses went on strike in 2022. Tim Walz and Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan hit the picket line to support nurses and push for the contract they deserve. Amazing.
It was nurses who were there to comfort the family. And it was nurses who were there to get tens of thousands of people through this so they could get back to their families.
Walz thanked the nurses for their hard work during the pandemic and said he respects their right to be out there on the line.
Our entire administration, we stand with you in solidarity to protect our patients. We stand with you in your right to collectively bargain.
You may recall back in 2016, the nurses' strike against Alina Medical was settled only after private negotiations at the governor's residence, led by then Lieutenant Governor Tina Smith.
Hi, how are you?
The current Lieutenant Governor, Peggy Flanagan, wore a red MNA shirt today.
So I'm going to be out here for a little bit, walking this line with y'all because this is where we need to be.
As the governor headed out, we asked him about how this appearance will play in the long run.
Governor, will this affect your ability to negotiate if you have to step in and negotiate?
Well, no. I think one of the things is we stand strongly with making sure that Minnesotans get the best health care available. And as I said, these were nurses that were asked during COVID to walk in there. In many cases, we didn't know what they were going into.
Walz said negotiations in this strike will likely be handled by federal mediators.
Their right to collectively bargain is one that we're just reinforcing. And we know that these negotiations need to be done in good faith.
Labor is happy today. Working people should be happy today. Everybody except for billionaires and CEOs of massive corporations should be happy today. Fantastic choice. I see some more chats here. Let me see. Rachel, thank you for your super chat. Says, this hope I'm feeling right now, I could cry. I literally screamed when I saw the news. LOL. Can't wait for the VP debate. Baldassar with a very generous $19.99 says, I don't know how you can advocate for a two-state solution when one state is decimated and the other wants to decimate it. But Walz's speech was such a breath of fresh air compared to everything from the Dems up to this point. I agree with you. It's just the reality in terms of the two-state solution. It's in terms of, it should be one state, human rights, equal rights for all. The issue is it's the party line, right? It's two state. That's sort of like the default, and there isn't the political space right now to really analyze that position with any sort of critique, just from a political DC perspective. But of course, you're correct. Emery Benson with the $10, thank you, says, I've been Team Pete since 2019, but the most I see of Walz, the more I see of Walz, the more he feels like a perfect balance for Kamala. And Pete will make a fantastic Secretary of State. His future is hella bright. Jeff Cass, is this real life? Let's effing go. And a bunch of coconuts. Captain Cuck says, Tim Walz seems like a real left-wing politician, not a diet Republican. I wouldn't even call him left-wing. Again, I think we should reframe this stuff. He's a working-class guy. Tim Walz is somebody who cares about people. Like, I feel like labels often turn people off because people have different ideas of what different labels mean. Like, look at how people self-identify, you know, and the choice is always ridiculous. It's like liberal, conservative, or moderate, which isn't even really, it isn't an accurate way to describe anybody. Like there are a lot more names that should be there, a lot more labels that should be in that question. But point being, more people self-identify as moderate or conservative, yet when you ask them on specific positions, policy positions, like guaranteed health care for all, like higher taxes on the wealthy and massive corporations, more money put into education, or I should say, free college. You look at cannabis legalization. You look at a variety of what are considered to be left-wing policies. The vast majority of people support those, despite the fact that they may self-identify as conservative. Now, why don't those things match up? Because people have different ideas of what different labels mean. So this idea of governing based on how people self-identify in terms of a label is so ridiculous. Look at the policies that people want. And again, it isn't even just about what they want, because part of the job of a politician is to make the argument, make the case for something that may be not popular, but is the right thing to do. And I think Tim Walz does a great job at that. He makes the argument for things that are just common sense that he has accomplished. Intoxicant says JD quote unquote outlaw IVF Vance versus Tim, my daughter is named Hope because of the opportunity IVF gave us, Walz. Yeah, I mentioned that briefly earlier. Tim Walz, I guess it's his daughter, if I am to believe you, had a kid through IVF, and you have JD Vance on the other side that is against that. Like you could not generate a perfect matchup. Like you could not in a lab. You would think that if somebody wrote this into a script, you'd think it's unrealistic. It's too perfect. It's too on the nose. But here it is, just the perfect choice for vice president in every way imaginable. Immune Fusette, I feel like I'm saying that wrong, but thank you for your super chat. Says I think the NLRB will probably even more fire now. Yeah. I mean, again, Harris is the president, right? Or will be if she wins. So we can't just assume that Walz is going to, get everything that he wants. But the hope is that with a pick like this, you are going to have someone in your ear as Harris that is pro-labor, strongly pro-labor. And hopefully that will trickle down into actual policy. Balthazar says, between Trump's beautiful desks and JD Vance, is this the first furniture fetish ticket? Trump, I don't even remember Trump's comment about beautiful desks. Beautiful desks and JD Vance. Yeah, JD Vance's love of couches. Which, by the way, let's be clear, is a joke. I'm sure everyone knows that. But, like, Republicans, or who was it? It was Jesse Waters on Fox News, was actually trying to argue that Democrats were claiming that JD Vance has sex with couches. No Democratic politician ever said that. It was people online being funny, pretending there was a quote out of his book about him effing a couch, which never happened. But it became a meme. It was a joke. And you have Jesse Waters freaking the hell out. Democrats are saying that he fucks couches. He definitely does not fuck a couch. They're just, when you see them on the defense like that, you know what that means? That means they're losing. Very, very good. This is very good. Things are almost too good that I feel like I'm a little worried. But let's just be happy right now. Let's just be happy for the potential positive future of the world. And try to find some more reactions, some more clips. And I will wait to see if an announcement is made. Barack Obama has weighed in from 4 minutes ago. Oh, God, I got to read this whole thing. Let's just bring this over. All right. Like Vice President Harris, Governor Tim Walz believes that government works to serve us, not just some of us, but all of us. That's what makes him an outstanding governor, and that's what will make him an even better vice president. Michelle and I couldn't be happier for Tim and Gwen, their family, and our country. Okay, I can read this. This isn't too much. When a presidential candidate chooses a running mate, it says a lot about who they are and what kind of president they'll be. Do they pick someone inexperienced and polarizing who will deepen our divisions? Or do they pick someone with the judgment to make tough decisions and the character to believe that every voice counts and everyone deserves an equal chance? By selecting Tim Walz to be her vice president from a pool of outstanding Democrats, Kamala Harris has chosen an ideal partner and made it clear exactly what she stands for. Governor Walz doesn't just have the experience to be vice president, he has the values and the integrity to make us proud. As governor, Tim helped families and businesses recover from the pandemic, established paid family leave, guaranteed the right to an abortion, and put common sense gun safety measures in place to keep communities safe. This is a point that I haven't mentioned yet. It's worth mentioning here. Tim Walz used to have, I believe, an A rating from the NRA. Used to. Changed his position. I believe it was after Sandy Hook. Changed his positions. Now has an F rating. This is a great thing to take to people when it comes to, making arguments about gun rights, which, by the way, the vast majority of Americans already support things like universal background checks. But this is someone who makes that argument well because he's somebody who used to think differently about this issue and has changed. And it isn't even just about that issue. To have somebody, who he's 60 now, to have somebody in their late 50s, 60, change a position as a politician when they are given new information, or when they when they see enough and realize, hey, I've been wrong about this, I'm willing to recognize that and change. That is an amazing quality to have in a politician. You normally, think of politicians generally. How often do they actually change in a positive way? Usually they're very positive. I'm going to help people. Then they get in and they take all the money and they become, corporate sellouts. To have somebody move in the opposite direction where, hey, I'm becoming more progressive the older I get, as I learn more and receive more information and change my positions based on what I'm seeing. This is an amazing quality to have in any politician. So it isn't even just about the gun issue for me. This shows just a perspective that he has generally, that he's able to be somebody who was able to reverse on an issue in a positive way because he learned something. Great. Where was I? But Tim's signature is his ability to talk like a human and treat everyone with decency and respect. Not all that surprising considering the fact that he served in the National Guard for 24 years and worked as a high school social studies teacher and football coach before being elected to Congress. Like Vice President Harris, Governor Walz believes that government works to serve us, not just some of us, but all of us. That's what makes him an outstanding governor, and that's what will make him an even better vice president. Ready on day one. Michelle and I couldn't be happier for Tim and Gwen, their family, and our country. Very nice statement there. All right, let me find some more clips. I will unmute the cable news.
All caps with an exclamation point. So Trump, who is not usually at a loss for words or insults when it comes to his opposition.
Did Trump react?
We're not seeing that from him so far. So perhaps the Trump campaign, they're still trying to formulate what they want to say about Tim Walz.
Truth Social is not loading for me, so I'm not sure if it's there or somewhere else.
Picked apart her running mate. Yeah. So ultimately, the decision was hers, and she had to choose someone that she was comfortable with, and feels as though he can make an effective case for the ticket on the campaign trail. Yeah. And he has been doing fundraisers. He's been doing get out the vote events in his state in recent days. And many Democrats that I speak to say that he's just a really strong, effective messenger.
Yeah, and sort of in the way that Kamala Harris burst onto the stage, Tim Walz, to some extent, has done that in Democratic politics. I mean, he went from somebody who does not have high voter recognition, we were showing this in a poll in the previous hour, to somebody who is the vice presidential running mate. So that indicates some political skills.
It does, it does.
Yeah.
And that he was in a House district for a long time that traditionally Republicans represented.
Yeah. And I think just in the last couple of seconds, we can show this to our viewers one more time, that motorcade was leaving where Tim Walz was staying. Let me go out to Whitney.
I cannot
Wild,
show
who
you
is
for
live
obvious
us
reasons,
out there
but you
in
can hear it.
Minnesota. And Whitney, help us paint the scene for our viewers. I know one thing that we should note to our viewers is that this is not the governor's mansion, and please correct me if I have that wrong, that this is a house that is owned by the University of Minnesota or something like that, because the governor's mansion is under renovation. So it's a long roundabout way of saying that that's the house he's living in right now, and that's where he's been departing from in just the last couple of minutes.
That's right. Just a few seconds ago, we saw 3 Suburbans come out. They flipped on the lights, and that's usually the telltale sign the protectee is inside and on the move. Where's he going? That's what we're trying to find out. So you just saw me put my phone down. I'm working the phones to try to figure out where he and his team are going at the moment.
All right, more chats here. That guy you know, thank you for your chat, says the right, quote, Dems are baby killers, groomers, and also the right. Don't call us weird. Name calling is for children. Fight us on policy. That you are echoing what Vivek said, basically. Whining about being called weird after all that name calling. Deary Vet, Tennessee, says, broke as F, but can't let this pass without spreading a little love. Thanks. Thank you for your generosity. You don't have to. Just hit subscribe, hit the bell icon to be notified when I go live and videos go up. And make sure you hit that like button as well. I will continue searching for some cool clips, some reactions.
Details on why Tim Walz emerged as Kamala Harris's running mate. And we're going to show you that motorcade leaving the governor's house just a few moments ago. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Big Orange T says, on the subject of Ohio, Brown is up for re-election and he's popular. That combined with Walz VP could carry Ohio. Again, I know it's unlikely. Hey, I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying don't get your hopes up. But it's better to be surprised than disappointed. But, they don't need Ohio, but it would be cool. All right, let me see what's going on here. It's going to blow my nose, which is not good.
When you have rational national priorities.
Moosey Cat Fluffs says my last dollar. Please boost. Please boost. I assume you mean Indiana. Dan Osborne, Senate, Nebraska. Oh no, Independent. Independent Dan Osborne, Senate, Nebraska. I have not looked into Dan Osborne, but there you go. All right, some more reaction from wait, this is not. Let's just see what this is.
They're trying to win the race. Some Democrats are distancing themselves from Harris
they're trying to win races of their own, apparently. Who are we talking about?
The two most vulnerable senators, that would be Montana's Jon Tester. He has not endorsed Kamala Harris, and he will not go to the DNC. Just to be fair, in his 18 years as a senator, he has never went to the party's convention the same year he was up for re-election. And in fact, the Real Clear political average has his opponent, Republican Tim Sheehy, up in the polls. So Tester is down. Then you have the other vulnerable Democrat in Trump country, which is Sherrod Brown of Ohio. He has endorsed Harris, and he may skip the DNC.
Do people vote based on who attends the DNC? It seems like a really bizarre thing to base your vote on. Are they really skipping for that reason, or just they're busy?
Lauren, we don't know much more about this at this stage, but I put it to you. Tim Walz is a liberal economically, and that's the kind of policy that I thought Kamala Harris was trying to get away from.
No, she was sounding like a Republican in these past couple of days by changing her positions on many policies, including fracking, where Governor...
Okay, God, I'm getting whiplash here. I thought Kamala Harris was so extreme, far left, crazy, and now here's Fox News saying, "Oh, she was sounding like a Republican." What world? Oh, sorry, I guess this is Fox Business, so they have a different lines of attack. What world are we living in here? It's so bizarre.
Josh Shapiro, should he have been the pick and give you the largest swing state? But it appears, according to these reports, that she is going with the two-term Minnesota governor, the most liberal of the final contenders that she was meeting with, Tim Walz, as her pick. He does have rural roots. He was a high school teacher, formerly a commander in the Army National Guard, and according to these reports, she will campaign with him today, later in Philadelphia, Shapiro's home state.
That's right. I wonder if by doing that, she has won Minnesota, but lost Pennsylvania. I just wonder about that, because she did not pick Josh Shapiro.
We should be clear as well that this idea that the VP you pick, like say they're from Pennsylvania, that that means you're going to win Pennsylvania, or that means it's going to help you a lot. According to what I've been reading, it has a bit of an impact, but not that much of an impact. And she was winning Pennsylvania anyways, based on new polling coming out. And picks are normally determined, or a president normally picks their running mate based on other factors that matter more. Like if it comes down to two people and they're both exactly the same and one is from a swing state, then maybe in that case they're going to pick that person. But it tends to be more about, hey, can I work with this person for 4 years? Since I'm going to be working with them for 4 years, that's going to be a big piece of it. Can they deliver a message? Like when it comes to campaigning, can they deliver a message even outside of campaigning? Say you win. Are they able to communicate well and fight for the administration? Like these are all these factors matter a lot more than what state they're from. And in some cases, if she had picked Shapiro, it may have actually ramped up the right-wing vote in Pennsylvania as a way to kind of like come out to reject him. So this idea that now she's going to lose Pennsylvania, I think it's maybe the opposite. This pick is only going to help her.
He's Jewish. If she had picked him, that would have alienated the pro-Hamas wing of the Democrat Party.
Huge in Michigan.
Oh my God. I can't. These fucking people, man. The pro-Hamas wing of the party. Can you just be serious for a second, please? It's just how could anybody possibly trust anything else you say now when you say something so fucking stupid? Yes, wanting to ensure that civilians are not annihilated on an insane level means you're the pro-Hamas wing of the party. It's just such a disingenuous way to frame this. Jesus Christ. Chris Tiabo, thank you for your and I believe I pronounced your name correctly, because there was a goalie in hockey in the NHL with the same last name, and his name was Tiabo. Says, David, you may be the only YouTuber I follow that actively tries to talk his audience out of donating. LOL, next pay I'll be donating out of spite. Ha! No, how dare you? Tokyo Hans, member for 6 months. Thank you, Tokyo Hans. Republicans' minds are going off the walls. They are. They are losing it. They've already lost it, but they're losing it again.
And Michigan, too. So there you have it. That's the decision. It's just come down, and we now know Tim Walz, governor of Minnesota, will be the vice presidential running mate of Kamala Harris.
This is interesting. This is interesting. Okay, this is okay. Okay, wait. This is from a Fox host. So keep this in mind. My Fox, this is senior White House correspondent, podcast host and anchor, Fox News. But she tweets out, 2 sources confirm on background the deciding factor in the VP's choice was what Fetterman said publicly. Concerns Shapiro's own personal ambitions would cause him to upstage/override Harris. The video Shapiro produced by Philly Mayor Cheryl Parker's team solidified the sentiment on Friday. The video Shapiro produced by Philly... So there was a video that leaked. Shapiro produced that? There was a video that leaked on... it seems like it was an intentional leak. Actually, let's see if I can find it. The video that leaked from the Philly mayor basically congratulating, oh, we're so excited for Kamala Harris and VP Josh Shapiro, even though he wasn't picked. Yet they had produced a whole video about it being Harris and Shapiro. So, which is really bizarre to do. It's a very bizarre thing to do when you're not the pick. And he's in the video. So he must have greenlit it. They knew they were being recorded. Like he wasn't saying I'm the VP, but other people were saying that about him. It was very bizarre. So I guess they saw that and was like, what the fuck is this? Like why is there a video out from the Philly mayor saying that you are the vice president? This is a very bizarre thing to do. Let me see if I could find that video. Update: Shapiro's team was not aware Mayor Parker's office had produced the video, and there was no communication about its release between Parker and Shapiro's teams ahead of time, a source familiar tells Fox. They're also going to say that, right? They're not going to. Shapiro's team is going to want to defend him.
When you have rational national
regardless, very bizarre thing to do. Was this the...
Gonna do right by working.
I want the full video. This it?
Philadelphia, and can we?
Yeah, this is the one. So this video came out and people were like, "Oh, I guess it's Shapiro." This video came out earlier, and I saw this thinking, no, if it was Shapiro, it would not leak like this. There wouldn't be a fully produced video from Philadelphia, from the Philly mayor's office about it. It didn't add up. Clearly, this was produced ahead of time with the intention of either releasing it early to try and maybe pressure the campaign to pick Shapiro, or they just wanted to get ready in case it was him.
Philadelphia, we got work to do.
We're ready to rumble, y'all.
I'm Mayor Cheryl Parker, here with leaders from across our region.
Kamala Harris is on the road to victory.
And the road goes through Pennsylvania.
And in Pennsylvania, we're united behind her.
The woman that's tough and can lead.
Are we ready to fight for it?
She is the right person at the right time for this job.
It's gonna do right by labor. It's gonna do right by working people.
And I can't think of a better partner than our Governor Josh Shapiro.
His policies have not only supported the working class, but have set standards for progressive leadership that benefits all citizens.
Philadelphia building trades.
IBW for Kamala Harris.
Montgomery County. Bucks.
County.
Delco.
Chester.
Northeast. South Philly. North Philly for Kamala Harris.
We're getting behind Kamala Harris.
Kamala Harris.
Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris for president. And Josh Shapiro.
Josh Shapiro.
Josh Shapiro for vice president. Now we need you.
Like what the fuck is This seems even stupider now because it was clearly never him. They hadn't decided. Like, what a weird thing to put together. Very bizarre, very presumptuous. I'm even more glad it's not him because of this video. Just a very stupid thing to do. But yeah, I think anybody. I think it's very obvious. Even putting this aside, let's pretend this video didn't happen. I think it's very obvious that Josh Shapiro is more ambitious career-wise than Walz is. Just based on who Shapiro is, and just Shapiro's more of a politician. This is part of the appeal of Walz, is that he's a high school teacher. He's a normal guy. Like he had a whole life before he joined Congress and then became a governor. Like they're just different people. Tim Walz or Shapiro's name was already getting around when it came to discussions about the future of the party. Tim Walz his name was never raised until really this decision for VP. So Shapiro was obviously trying to get his name out there in a way that would move him towards higher office. Where was I here? Chris says, "Oh, I dare, Mr. Dole. I dare, but yeah, you bailed. You bailed my name. Bailed? Does that mean I did it? Is that a typo?" That's from Chris Tiabo. We're both Canadian, so it makes sense. Congrats. Oh, I guess I got it right. There we go. Thank you, Chris. Tokyo Hans, the right is still complaining about the left, not condemning hummus. We can only condemn so much. So fatigued. Brad again says that Shapiro video felt like an intentional leak to gauge the response of the base. The fact that this, how do you leak a fully produced video days ahead of the actual decision? Like it's this, no, it was the leak was fully intentional for sure. Todd Odell, $20 super chat. Thank you. Says, agree. Thanks for letting us know more about Walz. You are welcome. Chris says, nailed. He said bailed. He meant nailed. Autocorrect is working for you. So I did nail the last name. Chris Tiabo. I was right. One of the few names I will get properly. If your last name is an NHL player, I will probably pronounce it correctly. Especially if it was an NHL player between like 98 and 2007. When I was paying the most attention. I'm back on board now, though. But there were a few years there after the Leafs collapsed to Boston in 2013 that I just stopped watching because it was ridiculous. That collapse destroyed my interest in hockey for about 10 years. Tokyo Hans, the Philadelphia accent is just very heavy. Tim Walz just sounds like Josh Shapiro to the rest of us. All right. We got another Fox News clip. I'm just finding reactions here because I'm not sure what else to do in the meantime while I'm waiting for this official video announcement. Assuming it comes out. Amu Fusette, I'm saying that wrong probably, says Walz is a civil servant. Shapiro is a politician. These are not the same. I agree. To be fair, I haven't followed Shapiro enough to really. I'm sure he's done things that are good.
When you have
I've heard some positive things. I forget what they are now, but I've heard he's done some positive. Didn't he go after Wall Street in some way? So I know, he's not a terrible person, I'm sure, but there's definitely more ambition in Shapiro. At least it appears based on the way he's tried to position himself in his speeches, and, the way he operates. More ambition in that way than Tim Walz does. Business Goose says he sucks, but all the hopefuls probably got ready. He sucks, but all the hopefuls probably got ready. I don't know what that means.
Tim Walz is very liberal. Art, I thought those were the policies that Harris was trying to get away from. And Governor DeSantis has called this the most left-wing ticket in history. What do you say?
I think DeSantis is correct on that. I was just hoping and praying, Stuart, that he'd pick Jared Polis from Colorado, which would have been a perfect combination for her, but she chose not to do that.
Discussion.
Jared Polis would be great,
Contention.
but Walsh, I think, just piles it on further.
But how is she going to get away from this? I mean, she wants to reverse all of the liberal policies of the past and come out as a shining moderate. How does she...
Oh, look at this terrible man. Wow. He's an Army National Guard veteran, former high school teacher. Are these supposed to scare us? I don't know. I guess they're just showing his history. Looks pretty good to me.
Do that with Governor Tim Walz by her side.
Well, she doesn't. She doesn't do it just by herself either. I mean, she's been co-author of all of these policies, Stuart, for almost 4 years now. She has to own those policies. She's told that she's going to reverse the Trump tax cuts, and that means raising the corporate rate from 21 back up to 35 or whatever it is. You know, those are all very bad sets of policies. These are all she's on record for. In fact, she's probably a little bit more to the left of Biden. I mean, she was not going to be able to reverse those policies. Now, maybe she doesn't believe in them. I mean, that's very possible. She's been a professional politician all of her life, never written a paycheck to anyone. So maybe she can just switch like mad.
Oh my! These people, I fucking hate these people. They're like, oh, you should not be a politician unless you've run a business. It's so fucking stupid. It should be the complete opposite. If you've run a business, please do not get into politics. We need people representing us who are actual human beings, who are actually working class. Like, fuck off with this garbage. I just saw, what did I see? Here. The Trump war room has dug up some real dirt. It's over.
We've been focusing on, and I lived in China, and as I said, I've been there about 30 times, but
oh my God.
If someone tells you they're an expert on China, they're probably not telling you the truth, because it's a complex country, but it's critically important for us. I don't fall into the category that China necessarily needs to be an adversarial relationship. I totally disagree.
Funny how they cut off there. I wonder where that goes. What's wrong with this? Diplomacy is good. This, again, all the clips they keep posting are just more positives to add onto the already massive pile of positives for Tim Walz. He's somebody who actually wants diplomacy. That's incredible. Aren't Republicans pretending that they care about diplomacy now? That they're anti-war? Yet you want to be hostile to the other biggest superpower? Kind of counteracts the point of being anti-war. This is amazing. I can't wait to see what else they uncover about him. Tokyo Hans, a lot of the bigger streamers aren't streaming this live. Thankfully, we have the one true American, David Dole, doing this job. Stay a basic. Oh, thank you, Tokyo Hans. And I'm doing it with a cold, which should net me even more points. Again, I'm looking for some more clips. Hit that subscribe button, the bell notification icon as well, and the like button. I'm going to unmute the cable news as I search for some more things. Oh, it may not be working anymore. Let me go large. Fix this. Actually, maybe we can do
When you have rational national priorities.
Answer questions. This is a person who's been the presumptive Democrat nominee for 16 days. She hasn't taken a
This is J.D. Vance talking, apparently.
From a reporter. The American people deserve to get to know the people who want to lead them, and I think it's shameful for Kamala Harris, but increasingly for the media, that she's taking a basement strategy of running from reporters instead of getting in front of them, answering tough questions about her record, and letting the American people know who she is. President Trump and I take hostile questions, we take non-hostile questions, we get out there and talk to people because we respect the American people enough to want to persuade them and not to try to run from them. So I think you guys got to do a better job. That's my humble opinion. Take it easy, guys. Thank you.
All right, and that was Donald Trump's vice presidential pick, J.D. Vance, who has had a bit of a rocky rollout himself, but he's test driving some lines of attack aimed at Tim Walz. Kristen Holmes, I know you're covering all of this. What did you hear out of J.D. Vance there just a few months ago? What stood out to you?
Well, certainly what's news in that is the fact that he called Tim Walz and left him a voicemail congratulating him, saying he wasn't sure if he would call him back or not. That is usually political protocol.
Reaction from Joe Biden. Here we go. The first major decision a party nominee makes is their choice for vice president, and Kamala Harris has made a great decision in choosing Governor Tim Walz to be her running mate. I've known Tim Walz for nearly 2 decades, first during his time in Congress as governor. A husband and father, he's been a school teacher and a high school football coach. He served for 24 years in the Army National Guard and became the highest-ranking enlisted soldier to ever serve in Congress. As governor, he's been a strong, principled, and effective leader. The Harris-Walz ticket will be a powerful voice for working people and America's great middle class. They will be the strongest defenders of our personal freedoms and our democracy, and they will ensure that America continues to lead the world and play its role as the indispensable nation. It's time for all Democrats, indeed all Americans, committed to freedom, democracy, and American leadership in the world to rally behind the Harris-Walz ticket. Every generation of Americans faces a moment where they are asked to defend American democracy. That moment is now. Very nice.
From proposing his own carbon-free agenda to suggesting stricter emission standards for gas-powered cars and embracing policies to allow convicted felons to vote, Walz is obsessed with spreading California's dangerously liberal agenda far and wide. There is a part of Governor Walz, which we have heard from Democrats who know him, who describe him as folksy, as somebody who can reach out to independents. They clearly see that, and they are trying to turn that moderate, that idea that he is a moderate, into this idea that he is part of a far left ticket, and I think we're going to hear more of that today. And I will say, just moments ago, they released their first reactive ad to Tim Walz being on the ticket. Again, goes after him, same attack line, saying that he's far left. We will see that in an upcoming ad buy. Unclear where it will air and how much money they're putting into it, but it is interesting they've already pushed that out.
All right, Kristen Holmes, thank you. And never mind upsetting the control room. I do it all the time. But thanks, Kristen. We appreciate it. Great job out there. We'll be right back.
Here's some more reaction from Fox News. I will be right back. I have to blow my nose, and I have run out of tissues.
Bill, it's a victory for progressives in the Democratic Party over the moderate wing of the Democratic Party, who thought Josh Shapiro could have handed the ticket to the state of Pennsylvania and really given the necessary moderation to the Democratic Party brand that they've struggled with and that Kamala Harris so badly struggled with in her 2020 presidential campaign. Now, look, Tim Walz is a folksy guy. He's got a really good political track record. He represented a tough seat in southern Minnesota for a number of years. Nancy Pelosi had a really good relationship with him. I think she was one of the biggest assets for the governor getting the number 2 spot on the ticket. And he also won 2 terms in a competitive state like Minnesota. But, you know, Minnesota is not a presidential swing state. And there's going to be a lot of questions on why, when a lot of Democrats thought Josh Shapiro gives you a whole lot more politically, brings moderates, swing voters, persuadable voters into the Democratic camp, why the Harris campaign went with the most progressive option on the board, Mark Kelly. Also a finalist. He's from Arizona, another swing state. Shapiro from Pennsylvania. Minnesota is a pretty blue state, and Governor Walz also governed in a pretty progressive direction during his 8 years in office. So I think you're going to hear a lot about crime, you're going to hear a lot about immigration.
Can I interject here? I mean, just go ahead and try and answer the question you just posed.
Let me answer that question. Because moderate to Washington means pro-corporate. That's not what people want. So-called moderate voters are not voters that want to vote on behalf of massive corporations. Yet that is how Washington views moderate. Joe Manchin, moderate. Why? Because he sides with coal companies? That makes him moderate? Because he torpedoes legislation for universal child care? That makes him moderate? No. That makes him a fucking asshole and pro-corporation. This idea, like, again, these labels that people apply their own ideas to what they mean. It's so... Tim Walz is the moderate pick because the things he supports, the vast majority of people, voters, support. That makes him a moderate. Universal school lunches, that's a moderate position because the majority of people support that. Expanding abortion is a moderate position. The majority of people support that. Gay rights, the majority of people support that. Affordable college, the majority of people support that. Higher tax on massive corporations, the majority of people support that. These are moderate positions.
Why do it then, if it's considered at the outset to be so progressive?
Well, this is a choice of style over substance. You look at Governor Walz's record, and it's pretty progressive. And I imagine Republicans are going to be honing in on his record of the riots in the Twin Cities after the George Floyd murder, that there's going to be a lot of criticism that Republicans and Democrats offered his way during that moment. That's going to come up in a lot of the Oppo file on the governor. Mm-hmm. But he also comes across as Brett was saying, as someone who is comfortable speaking to all types of groups. He's a working class guy. He speaks in a folksy manner. They think that will play well in some of the Midwestern states, not just Pennsylvania, but Michigan and certainly Wisconsin, that are big political battlegrounds.
So Tom Emmer is also from Minnesota. By the way, Walz represented Congressional District 1, which is a huge rural section of the southern part of the state in Minnesota. Tom Emmer is also a congressman, a Republican from Minnesota, and one of his main jobs is electing Republicans to the House. Here he is on X, all right? Ready, Josh? It's not surprising Kamala Harris picked Tim Walz to be her running mate. He embodies the same disastrous economic, open borders, and soft on crime policies Harris has inflicted on our country the last 4 years. Walz is an empty suit who's worked to turn Minnesota into Harris's home state of California and solidifies this ticket's full embrace of a radical America Last agenda. I imagine they're ready for that one to fire it off.
How fucking stupid. America Last agenda. Didn't Walz say Minnesota's the third happiest state in the country? I would love to. Do you want to guess what the vast majority of the states on the bottom of that list are? I would almost guarantee you, I will guarantee you, that the majority of them are red states. Minnesotans are happy because you have people in leadership that actually deliver for people.
And you have to think, when you talk about the protests in Minneapolis, there will be a spot, Josh, where that reporter is standing at night with these burning buildings behind him saying these protests are largely peaceful.
Yeah, I mean, look, the issue of criminal justice, the issue of law and order, the rising crime in many American cities, that is one of the bigger vulnerabilities that Democrats have, that Kamala Harris specifically has in this campaign. I can already see those ads from...
There is a new account, Walz Wins, on Twitter. Already has 106,000 followers. Oh, apparently it started in March 2023. Maybe they changed their name. But let me share Some of Walz wins. All right. American hero. Donald Trump is a draft-dodging weirdo. This montage of a few of Tim Walz's best moments. Let's see.
Speaking it into existence, Governor Walz for vice president.
These are weird people on the other side. They want to take books away. They want to be in your exam room. I've got a 23-year-old who told me TikTok is on fire. Go ahead and continue to denigrate people. Go ahead. My God, they went after cat people. Good luck with...
That's a real song. I cannot play this. All these clips, though, I've basically shown you already. So there you go. What? Why set music? Why set music to clips? I know that's like the entirety of TikTok. Why do it? It just means I can't play it on YouTube. Reporters are marveling at how service-oriented the Harris-Walz ticket is. Kamala Harris prosecuted criminals and Tim Walz served in our American forces. This is the most pro-America ticket ever assembled. Yes, we've discussed the free breakfast and lunch. Okay, I guess we will. I mean, this account just kind of got going. But I'm still waiting for this official video announcement that I'm sure will come. Let's finish this garbage. Where was I? Too many clips. Too many clips. There? No. I should close some of these. Let me just leave this up for now. This is a cool point in case you missed it while I look for something. Business Goose says, grateful it's Walz. Normal guy appeal plus non-Zeo. Did I read this earlier? Yes, I did. Tokyo Hans, who are great VP pick? What may we call you? Walz? Quote, there are some who call me Tim. Texas Hostage said help says, great coverage, David. Thank you. Trying to absorb everything as it's coming in, as there is a lot at all times. Here is the Tim Walz family. Happy little family there. Just to be clear, this is an older picture. I don't think this is today.
Join us.
The president and vice president spoke on the phone ahead of Harris's announcement of Walz as her running mate, a White House spokesperson said. Well, I imagine they did. That's reporting from The Hill. Here's a weirdo.
Yeah. You're going to be. You guys have.
Yeah.
Have you or Governor Walz reached out to one another? I know when you're going to be. You guys have reached out.
I actually, on the way to the flight in Cincinnati, I guess in northern Kentucky, I actually called Tim Walz. I left a voicemail. I didn't get him, but I just said, look, congratulations. Look forward to a robust conversation and enjoy the ride. And maybe he'll call me back. Maybe he won't. Yeah.
Sir,
yeah.
Have you or Governor
Ron DeSantis freaking out. Harris Walz, the most left-wing ticket in American history. Here, let's
when you have rational
Minnesota was ground zero for the BLM riots of 2020. Harris egged it on, and Walz sat by and let Minnesota burn. Ben Holden, as many people know, I messaged Kamala last night on Facebook and told her to pick Walz. Pretty sure that's what tipped the scales. No thanks necessary. Well, Ben, thank you for your service. You and Nancy Pelosi up there, making the future brighter for the rest of us. I got so many tabs open. Let's, before my computer crashes. Did I watch this one? Yeah, I did.
What you're hearing behind, right now is this movement today. This was Governor Tim Walz's first ride as Kamala Harris's running mate. He was on the way to the airport. Now he's on his way to Philadelphia, where he will join her at a joint rally around 5:30 Eastern time this afternoon. Very big day here. There was a big crowd here. People have since gone home, but the energy remains, Jim, because voters here are very excited. Again, they say that what they know about him is that he is the real deal, that he's a steady, authentic leader, Jim.
And Whitney, I guess he is, you cover the Secret Service and law enforcement. He is under Secret Service protection, I suppose, at this point. He's now part of the apparatus of a campaign.
Well, there's a little bit of a handoff here. So what we saw in that video was his Minnesota State Patrol taking him to the airport. This is according to our fantastic reporters Betsy Klein, Arlette Sines, who've been reporting on this out of Washington as well. He is going to get picked up by the Secret Service once he gets to Philadelphia. His wife is also going to get protection. So that's how that handoff is going to happen.
And Whitney, what are just the folks in that community saying about Tim Walz? I mean, a lot of Americans, they're waking up this morning, they're turning on their TVs and finding out that Tim Walz is going to be the running mate. They just don't know who he is. What can you tell us in terms of what folks in that community are saying about Kamala Harris's running mate?
I think the best way that they are describing him as a humble fighter. He is a guy who was a former football coach. He was a geography teacher in public schools. He spent more than 2 decades as a member of the National Guard. He deployed after 9/11. He has also been able to really bridge this gap with rural voters. Let's not forget, he's from a rural area of Minnesota. He's from Mankato. That is an area where when he first ran for Congress in 2006, he ousted a 6-term Republican incumbent. That was a huge win for Democrats at that time, and he's one of just I think 2 Democrats who won that seat in I think it was 100 years. So that was a momentous moment, and what they know he can do is bridge this gap between rural voters, urban voters. The people we're speaking with really believe that he is the type of leader who can draw in a lot.
Jamal Bowman.
Just stand.
He looks happy.
It's Walz, baby, let's go! High school teachers, stand up! Public education, stand up! Educators, stand up! Young people, stand up! Working class people, stand up! It's Walz, baby, let's go! Tim Walz in the building! Time to win in November, y'all! Let's go, all hands on deck! No staying at home! Let's go! It's Walz, baby,
Yep. People are happy. I am seeing the most cynical people that are usually very cynical online. And for good reason. They have reason to be cynical. But just be like surprised and happy that this was the right choice.
Music heritage.
Pierre, thank you for your super chat. All right, I'll probably, unless this video hits at, let me wait till noon to see if, because they're going to have a video, of course. If it doesn't hit then I'll just get off. But we've had a good time here, a good run, some good morning joy. Here, let's see what the recount has to say about this. Did not know they put out original videos.
This is Tim Walz. I just found out that it's Walz and not Waltz, so I have been mispronouncing it. He's the governor of Minnesota, who is 60 years old, which is literally Kamala Harris's age. And I don't understand how these two are the same age. He looks 75 and she looks 40. And my only awareness of this man was from this video of him signing a bill surrounded by school children, where everybody in that room is just bursting with joy, and you can't help but burst with joy when you really see that. And then everything I've seen about him since has just made me like him more, which I know as a journalist, I'm not technically allowed to like people like that, but I do. And Tim Walz is basically a walking pile of baffling contradictions. He is a retired National Guard vet and public school teacher. Two different things. High school championship football coach, but also was the student advisor of the Gay Straight Student Alliance. Chair and leader of the Democratic Governors Association, but also the guy next door who like fucking loves mowing their lawn.
Carsham says, well, I appreciate the coverage. You look so sick. Go to bed. I don't. Thank you for telling me I look sick. I haven't showered today. That's why it was really early. I'm like, oh, this news is breaking out. I just washed my face, and I may look sick because I have not showered, but I am not sick. I mean, no, I am sick, but just a cold. I don't feel like there's no fever. I'm fine. SVDG with 11 euros says, hey, David, some from Dutch RTL News. Quote, Walz did the same remarks about Israel as Shapiro, but the voters don't blame him as much, possible because he isn't Jews? I hope that isn't a direct quote. That's a very awkward way to say that. From Eric Mothon, a disgusting reporter. Yeah, that's not even worth quoting. That's not true. That's the claim that there are some people claiming that people are going after Shapiro because he's Jewish. That's so ridiculous. The same voters that like Walz also like J.B. Pritzker, who's also Jewish. Yet there were people pretending that Shapiro was the only Jewish man in the VP race, which wasn't true. No, it's because of what Shapiro had said before. Recently had praised Netanyahu in 2011 from his speech. Had when he was 20, I'm not going to hold him to what he said when he was 20, but it was disgusting comments about Palestinians. So no, there are legitimate reasons why people didn't like Shapiro. Comparing protests to Palestinian protests to the KKK, like just stupid shit. Philip says, thanks for all the years of content and your honest support of the U.S. Thank you for your member for 48 months. Oh my God. Thank you, Philip. That's very, very long lasting and generous of you. 48 months. Crazy. The Furious. Thank you for all the great content. Totally disagreed with you about Lena Khan going after Microsoft. About Activision, do you still have the same position? I never disagreed. So I would go back and watch my video on that. Because I always agreed with the philosophy of what they were doing. It was that in that context, at the time, I felt like it was Activision would be worse under Bobby Kotick. Like worse for the workers under Bobby Kotick than under Microsoft. It's impossible. Obviously, it's not been good under Microsoft. But I don't think things would have been status quo under Bobby Kotick. There would have been cuts for sure. The same layoffs we're seeing everywhere would have happened to Activision as well. So there is no the differentiating factor for me at the time. And again, this is based on the knowledge that I had and what I was seeing, was that Microsoft had actually recognized a union and Activision had not. So that was where my position came from, in the sense that, I thought Activision would have been worse under Bobby Kotick. But regardless, yeah, it isn't even just, I wouldn't even say it's just Microsoft. The industry, like, it's terrible. Look what happened to Bungie. All those jobs cut there. So it's a consistent theme. But I would agree generally, of course, that corporate consolidation is just not a positive move for workers. I think that's very clear. Tokyo Han says David is literally one of the unwashed masses. Yes, I am. Here he is preaching the good word while fighting through a cold. Fight. I'm doing okay. Losing my voice a little bit, but let me put on the Harris Walz image as I find some more things. What is it now? It's 12:03. Let's see if anything's gone out. Probably not. I know a lot of my audience is probably going to move on to a Majority Report, which I do not blame you, as I have nothing new to add to this conversation right now. I myself am going to move on to the Majority Report. I want to see what Sam and Emma have to say. So, I'm going to do one last check here. Nothing from the official account. All right. I'm sure they'll put out a video, and regardless, I want to do a separate 10-minute video or whatever on this announcement, so people don't have to watch 4 hours to see what I have to say about this. But that will come later. Amune Fusset. So get your super chats in now before I leave. Amune Fusset says, "Did you hear about Biden giving black farmers $2 billion?" I did not hear about this. Pierre says, "Thanks for being a great Canadian helping out America, unlike XQC." Oh my God, XQC wearing that Trump shirt. Fucking loser. That whole Aiden Ross stream, I joked, like, what's the audience for this? 12-year-olds who can't vote? Like, I don't... do any actual adults watch Aiden Ross on Kick? Is that his name, Aiden Ross? Am I saying it right? I feel like his name's different now. I feel like I'm saying that wrong. His name's Aiden... I'm like, that's his name, right? Why do I feel like I got that wrong? Why does that sound wrong? That sounds like that can't be his name.
When you have
No, it's his name. So actually, since we're on the topic, I'm glad this popped up when I searched his name. So in case you missed it, Donald Trump streamed this. This is the guy that yesterday Donald Trump had a stream with. All right, this is the guy. This clip is from, I think, 2 years ago.
What does a fascist mean?
What does a fascist mean? This is. Oh my God.
It means you are a far right authorization on ultra-analytic. Oh my God, ultra-analyst, political ideology movement characterized by dictator leadership, centralized autocracy, militarism, forcible suppression of opposition. So I don't know what that means, bro. I swear to God, I don't know what the fuck a fascism is. I don't know what the fuck that is. Benito Mussolini and Giviante Gentile and Jason Stanley. Like, who the fuck are these people, bro? Never heard in my fucking life. What is an example of a fascist? Yo! All right, bro. See what I'm saying, chat? Like, this is why I don't fuck with y'all, bro. Like, dude, like, this is what the fuck I don't... Bro, I don't fuck with y'all, bro. I do not fuck with you guys.
Okay. This is the guy that streamed with Donald Trump yesterday. All right. So, good news is 12-year-olds don't vote. So it should be fine. All right. Couple last chats here. Pro Cliffo says, if Shapiro was rejected for being Jewish, why was he one of the two final choices? This line of attack doesn't make any sense. Maybe it's policy. No. Even Nancy Pelosi. I shouldn't say even now because she's on a roll. But Nancy Pelosi came out and defended the criticisms of Shapiro, saying that I think they're just over policy. It's not because people are anti-Semitic. So fucking ridiculous. Like, it. The left wanted Bernie Sanders, people. Hello. Like, oh no, they just hate. They won't. No one on the left ever wants anyone who's Jewish to be in power. After the fucking last 10 years of fighting for Bernie Sanders, get the fuck out of here, fucking clowns. Okay, that's it. All right, fun time. Good news has happened. We should be positive, keeping in mind the positivity ends on day one when they're in power, and things must get done to accomplish a positive future for all. But for now, and up until the election, and on the election day, positive vibes only. So hit the subscribe button, hit like, and support if you want on Patreon. Link is below the video in the description box. And hey, if you're an American and you are excited, volunteer for the campaign. If you got time, on your hands, if you're here watching me, maybe you got some time. Door knock, phone bank, all that shit. It'll help out. This is actually a positive development in the world right now. To have this ticket is really, really good. Surprising, but great. So be happy. It's okay to be happy. Don't let people make you feel like you should be sad all the time. That's fucking stupid. That's dumb. No, you should be happy. You should allow yourself to be happy. While, of course, keeping in mind the world's a wild place and bad things can happen, and bad things are happening right now as we speak. That doesn't mean you have to be miserable yourself. You can be happy and enjoy life. It's okay. All right. Goodbye, and see you all later.